Hi guys, as you've heard, I am not playing a clip at the beginning of this show because since before we took an impromptu break due to work schedules and life and stuff, a lot of horrible things have happened. Most notably, 50 people died in Orlando due to an individual who was, at the very least, mentally unbalanced. The exact motivations are still being hashed out. All I can say is, I don't know if I speak for Jesse and Steve, but for myself, I feel a lot of sorrow about what happened. That's a lot of people who didn't deserve what they got.
Yeah.
Both the injured and the dead. And I am actually rather proud of the gay community because instead of responding in anger or hysteria like a lot of other ethnic groups did, they responded with a lot of forethought, kindness, and they're continuing to evaluate everything. And I want to say on behalf of all of us, we are very sorry about what happened, and if there's any way we can find to make a reasonable assistance, we're very likely to do it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rollin' 20s. We are the show where my wife recently said she's the Harley to my Joker, and then she shot me. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
And Jesse.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook and Tumblr. Follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. The music you heard at the beginning of the show is by Machinae Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinaesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. As we said at the beginning of the show, we had an impromptu break just because life really got in our ways, and in the middle, it seems like a bunch of the most messed up stuff has happened.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the shooter out in Orlando, what happened to Anton Yelchin, a couple other shootings in between. We allowed Donald Trump to go to Scotland. There's a lot of effed up things that have occurred.
I don't know. I kind of wish he stayed over there.
They would not allow that. Have you seen some of the responses that Trump got in regards to his Twitter flub when he got there?
No.
Oh my God, they were so imaginative and pretty. I kid you not, man. I was reading them, and between what Donald Trump said and the responses by both Britain and frickin' Scotland, it was pretty. And I mean, it was some of the most artful swearing I've ever seen in my life. It was gorgeous. Let me see. I got this on BuzzFeed. So Donald Trump, when he arrived in Scotland, the vote for the British exit from the European Union was going on. Right. And he tweeted out, "Just arrived in Scotland. Place is going wild over the vote. They took their country back just like we will take America back. No games." So one person, Lily Allen, very kindly tweeted back, "Scotland voted in, you moron." But that was the kindest response. Let me see. Tim Footman responded with, "Scotland voted to stay, you witless fucking cocksplat." Let me see. Claire Woodward, "Scotland voted to remain, you tit." Finn der Hertog, "Scotland voted overwhelmingly to stay in Europe, you two-paid fuck trumpet." By Mac, "Scotland voted overwhelmingly to stay in the EU, you weasel-headed fuck nugget." Leanne Abbott, "You're such a gobshite. Scotland voted to remain in the EU. Let's see. Ian McKinnon, "You utter and complete idiot. Landslide vote to remain in Scotland. UK vote only just managed to force us to leave." JMF, "Scotland voted overwhelmingly to remain. But what are facts to you, you bloviating flesh bag?" Sue Perkins, "Scotland voted remain, you weapons-grade plum." Andrew McConnell, "Scotland voted to remain, you clueless numpty." Gary Prosser, "They voted to remain, you spoon." Nina B, "Scotland hates both Brexit and you mangled apricot hellbeast."
Oh, wow.
You're right. These are very colorful.
I know. And by Richard Fry, "Delete your golf course." I mean, one of my favorite phrases that came out of that was by a British man who called him a jizz trumpet. That is such an image in one word. It's gorgeous. And there have been responses all across the board to this, and most of them have been negative. But the one that always comes to me in British voice was when I saw one guy said, "Oi, butt plug face." There's too many visuals for me in all of this, but it's just so much fun to read. I think I've taken over the opening. How are you guys? Okay, so everybody's cool. All right.
No, I'm having issues with my Xbox. Seeing as how I managed to somehow managed to damage another controller.
That confuses me in so many degrees, except there's part of me that just wants to say you've got one hand on the computer, one hand on the Xbox, and the other hand on you, so I don't know how you're doing this.
I don't know either.
What about you, Steve?
Well, I was just informed that we're missing our roommate's niece's birthday party.
What?
Which?
Huh?
Which one? Kristen?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we got a podcast.
Yep. I didn't know about it. He literally just came in and told me right now, and I'm just like,
Yeah, you know you're expected at a party that happened like 5 minutes ago, right?
No, he just was mentioning it. He's leaving late as it was because, it started at 6, so.
Oh, wow. And you guys just weren't told about it till now?
Yep. This happens a lot.
Yeah. I think my response would just be a whole lot of staring. Let's see. The subject of this week is DC's Rebirth. We picked a couple issues to read and to try and get a feeling as to where Rebirth is and what kind of flavors it's going to be. Maybe this will be the place where we jump into the DC universe, but we'll find out later. First off, we've got Marvel media news. That's where we talk about the Marvel properties that are ending up in tablets, monitors, TV screens, movie screens, and occasionally probably stamps. But the first up is the Russians have a problem with Captain America: Civil War, and it's not the problem you think it is. It has nothing to do with Captain America. The problem is with Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah. There has been wide complaints. Well, I should say there have been complaints on the internet. Let me rephrase that. There have been complaints on the internet that whichever actor they chose to dub the voice of Spider-Man does not sound old enough. He's been described as sounding like a 10-year-old.
Okay.
The actor cast is Vladimir Konakin, and there's a new petition that's out calling his casting a slap in the face, and they want Vladimir Konakin replaced for Spider-Man: Homecoming. The petition had 4,700 signatures before being closed by the people who created it.
Wow.
Wow, okay. Whatever. I don't think they're going to do it.
Well, for 4,700 signatures? No, I think all you'll get is Sony probably farting into an envelope for that. I just don't see them as really motivated to do anything about it, since the movie did make $16 million in Russia, which is not exactly a big movie market.
Well, and that's the actual actor they got in Russia. I mean, that's not like our one, because I was trying to figure that. I was like,
no, Tom Holland is the actor cast on screen, but obviously when they were redubbing it into Russian for the Russian audiences, they hired a voice actor who people are complaining does not sound old enough. It's all subjective, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There has been a little bit more news about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but it doesn't have to do with the movie. It has to do with the movie merchandising. According to a senior VP of licensing for Marvel and Disney Consumer Products, his name is Paul Glitter. He sounds like he should have an 80s glam band. He said, quote, "As affinity for and awareness for Guardians of the Galaxy franchise and its characters continues to grow by leaps and bounds, we are building out a much larger merchandising program to meet the increasing demand from fans. Guardians fills an unoccupied space in our portfolio of Marvel brands as it features an unlikely group of heroes who come together as a unique family. Plus, its blending of music, humors, and sci-fi adventure is unlike anything we've seen before. The response from retailers and licensees after a recent event we had to showcase key story points and characters from the new film was even stronger than expected, so we know there's lots of interest, unquote. Apparently, the big focuses for the merchandising for this film will be Groot and Gamora. I can't say that's entirely surprising, since after the first film, it really seemed like you couldn't turn around in a supermarket without seeing something Star-Lord or Rocket Raccoon related. You know, whether it be the masks, the guns, or in the case of Rocket Raccoon, a 1-to-1 size plushie. You know, there wasn't... The only Groot merchandise I remember were a few action figures and, like Funko Pops of Dancing Baby Groot. And Gamora got almost nothing, if I recall.
I've seen maybe 1 or 2 action figures, but not a lot.
No, it's a good way to branch out. At least they're putting out something new for the next film. Mads Mikkelsen. He says that the character he's playing in Doctor Strange is not necessarily wrong.
Okay.
He told Yahoo Movies UK, quote, "He's not a villain in that way. He's a man who believes in something else other than the hero. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to make the planet look wonderful or he wants to save the world as well, but he has a different way of doing it. He's the antagonist, of course, but he's not necessarily wrong." Unquote.
That sounds actually pretty good.
That's almost
not giving away any details, but
yeah, that sounds a bit Doctor Doom-esque. There was a reveal not too long ago as to what character he's playing. I'm sorry, I don't have that story keyed up. He's playing a character who in the comic books was known to be a minion of Baron Mordo. So Chiwetel Ejiofor may be the true villain of this piece, but we'll find that out after the movie comes out. Or maybe we'll find it out at Comic-Con. Who knows? Oh, God, this story almost made me laugh. And the synopsis of it is... Daredevil could not get a part in Star Wars because of Daredevil.
Wait, what?
I just said Daredevil could not get a role in Star Wars because of Daredevil.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Charlie Cox was the guy who played Daredevil for 2 seasons of Netflix TV, right?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
He went out and he auditioned for a role in Star Wars.
Okay.
He thinks it was a potential role in what was supposed to be the Han Solo spin-off film. He told The Hollywood Reporter, quote, "I'd gone to an audition, one of those things that are super secretive and they don't tell you, but I'm pretty sure it was for the Han Solo reboot. And halfway through it, the casting director stopped me and said, 'Why aren't you looking at me?' I realized I'd gotten into a habit of not making eye contact because the only thing I've done for 2 years is play someone who is blind."
Oh, that sucks.
I never got invited back, probably because they couldn't figure out why I was acting like a complete idiot, unquote. He was so used to not looking at people at this point.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, one role just interfered completely with the next. Donald Glover is being cast in an unknown role in Spider-Man Homecoming. Word is he's going to be another villain in the story.
Donald Glover?
Yeah, Donald Glover, we don't know what he's playing. He has been cast in the movie. But what makes this notable is that Donald Glover was the guy who, when Spider-Man was getting rebooted, when Andrew Garfield took over,
Yeah.
he had auditioned for the same part. And the reason why this is notable is because Donald Glover got so much attention from comic book writers and industry that he became the inspiration for Miles Morales.
Right, okay. Yeah, I do remember that.
So I wonder if anybody, kind of whispered in the ears that they need him for a particular role. I wonder if he had to audition at all, or if they just called him up and said, "Dude, we have a part for you." It's a nice give back to a guy who inspired a lot of merchandising for Marvel recently.
Yeah.
Comic Cave Studios is releasing a new Iron Man action figure. It is the Mark 42 armor, but what makes it special isn't just the armor. It comes with 5 pairs of hands, 2 groups of blasts, probably for the flight, A couple other mini accessories that I can't quite identify, but it comes with one terrific accessory that makes this whole set.
Okay.
It's an Iron Man 3 set, and the special accessory is the Iron Man armor comes with a couch. I am not kidding. Do you want to see what this looks like?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It is such a gorgeous little piece. The fact that they added the couch is just wonderful. The couch even comes with its own box. There's no pricing on the bundle. The Iron Man figure itself would cost $100 from Comic Cave. I don't know how much the couch would cost. That's just awesome. Could you imagine being the person who went to like China or something? Okay, I need 300 couches. Okay, what size? 8 feet? 10 feet? About 4 inches?
Say that again.
About 4 inches. You know, that's when one guy just leans into the other. Dude, Hung Wei, I think he's making Smurf sex or something, dude. This is messed up.
Oh, you went deeper than I thought it was Barbies.
And last up is another Marvel action figure announcement, but only one in this set has been formally announced as of yet. Kotobukiya, you know how they do their artifact statues? They tend to do them in groups. They've done the Justice League, they've done Uncanny X-Men, they've done Avengers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending you guys a link because Spider-Man is now getting his own set. They're releasing a 7-figure set with magnetic bases for Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Venom, Spider-Man 2099 in his original outfit, Agent Venom, and Carnage. If you check the link, they've already got the prototypes done for the Spider-Man. You know, the average Artifacts figure only costs about $60, and I gotta say, that's pretty good looking.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say I would collect all 7 of that set, but 4 or 5 of them I am definitely interested in. You know, I can do without the Carnage and the supersized Venom, and if cost is an issue, then I can do without the 2099 Spider-Man as well. But the main Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales, and Agent Venom, yeah, I at least want those 4.
Big fan of Agent Venom.
Even though he doesn't look anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
No.
We'll move into DC Media News. That's where the other major company in comics comes out with all kinds of multimedia properties. And unfortunately, the first story, we got to get into something we don't like to talk about. And that's Zack Snyder.
Oh, God.
He's already hard at work on Justice League. Already. And there was an interview recently that was done via, I want to say, Yahoo. And the main producer of the movie decided to chime in on what they've learned. It almost makes me more worried to know who one of the producers in the film is, because this person would not rein in Zack Snyder at all. Her name is Deborah Snyder.
Oh.
Wait.
He has a relative
name?
working on the same last name, so that means it's either sister, cousin, or wife. She said, quote, "The main thing we learned on Batman v Superman is that people don't like to see their heroes deconstructed. They like seeing them in all their glory. I think what's really great is that we're kind of going where the audience is wanting. We just had to take the characters from somewhere to bring them up to where they are, and that was our journey," unquote.
What?
I just read that, and half of that seemed to have folded onto itself and created this space gate that I can't quite figure out.
That's what they took from the fan reaction?
Yeah, they don't like to see their heroes deconstruct. What the hell did they construct in Batman v Superman? Because as far as I could tell, that movie didn't have much by the way of characterization at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I don't remember them being a whole
you're
lot
absolutely
of hero
right.
I just remember Batman frowning a lot. I remember Superman looking bland a lot. I remember Lois Lane having probably more speaking lines in it than both of them combined for some reason.
All I have to say is they need to learn how to, tell a story.
Yeah, if you want to deconstruct
show visuals.
If you want to deconstruct anything, when you film the Justice League, take the Red Bull away from Jesse Eisenberg. Deconstruct that. According to Zack Snyder, they were talking about how the last movie was considered a disappointment, and he said, quote, It did catch me off guard. I had to, in my mind, make an adjustment. The nice thing about working on Justice League is that's an opportunity to really blow the doors off the scale and the bad guys and team building and all the stuff I think I could justify as a big modern comic book movie, unquote. What the hell did he just say?
You have no idea what you're doing, man.
I just...
I'm trying to keep an open mind, but he is shutting all the doors on it. It's frustrating. He said that while Batman v Superman had to, quote, dig down into the darker parts of them to make them fight each other, with Justice League, Batman and Superman have both been freed of the shackles of responsibility to be in a place where they would fight each other. That is liberating for us in making the movie, because really now we have a single enemy with a single objective, and it's really about uniting the team. That, to me, is a fun activity, unquote.
Well, you finally figured out you need to, narrow the story down.
Narrowing the story is one thing, but team building is never necessarily the fun, at least in my experience. Team building is not the fun part of the movie. That's the parts that you're wading through to get to the fun parts. Holy crap. Anybody here think they're going to spend money on Justice League?
Yes, only because I'm sure we'll have to watch it for the show.
Yes.
It might be 2 or 3 weeks in for me, man. You know me and opening crowds. And these crowds are going to be ugly.
Rush.
We will watch it under duress. How about that?
It's not Abu Ghraib, man. It's a movie. Jeez. And it turns out Jenna Malone's role in Batman v Superman, we've heard all the rumors, right? She was Batgirl. She was Oracle. She was Carrie Kelly Robin. All this stuff.
Right.
All that secrecy really wasn't needed. Because it turns out her role in Batman v Superman was none of it. The DC heavyweight that Jenna Malone played for that film was Janae Clyburn.
Who's that?
That's exactly what I had to ask. Janae Clyburn was a minor character who had appearances in Superman, Action Comics, Teen Titans, and a few others as a lead scientist at Star Labs.
Oh.
That's what all this secrecy was about? A character that hasn't appeared since the 80s.
Did she do anything notable while she was...
I haven't watched the R-rated version of the film, so I have no clue. It's just my response to Warner Brothers spending all this time on rumors about, on Jenna Malone and not mentioning what's going on to release the pressure on this. I think the proper response is jizz trumpet. That is they could have just announced it and really saved themselves from some disappointment when we heard that she wasn't going to be in the final cut of the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone thought that Batgirl got overlooked, and they were screaming and complaining about it. They could have really let the pressure out of this balloon by just saying, "Oh, by the way, she's she's a minor character. It's no big deal." Holy crap! Let's talk about something that brings a few more smiles to our faces, and that's DC's TV properties. That's the stuff they're arguably doing right for the most part. They've announced the premiere dates for the new seasons of the CW DC shows, or the DCW as some people put it. On Tuesday, October 4th, Flash Season 3 begins, followed by Arrow Season 5 on Wednesday, October 5th. Supergirl will begin on Monday, October 10th for her second season, and then Legends of Tomorrow's second season begins on Thursday, October 13th. Man, October's going to be a busy month for them. Big rating spike's going to come for them at that point. But bigger news is that Grant Gustin, the guy who plays Barry Allen for The Flash, he sent out a tweet that I don't know if it was well placed, but it forced the CW to play their hand. He did confirm that what we saw at the end of Season 2 and the beginning of Season 3 is the Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we read the comics. We knew what we were looking at, but, all we knew was that it was Flashpoint-like. But he says it's officially the Flashpoint. Do you think this is the door they're going to open to allow Supergirl to exist in their universe?
I think it's a perfect opportunity for that.
It's the opportunity. It's just, will they do it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me Kevin Smith was working on the beginning of the season, obviously they do it. If you told me Zack Snyder was working at the beginning of the season, I would say probably not, because he hasn't read the comics and Flash is very likely to get raped in the next scene. So it all depends. It all depends on what kind of people they hire. Speaking of hired, another actor has been hired for the Arrow. Chicago PD actor Josh Segarra is coming into the show as Adrian Chase. Adrian Chase is one of the regular names for DC's hero, the Vigilante. That's his name, the Vigilante. Or just Vigilante.
That's very original.
His costume kind of reminds me of an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. with a helmet that has a giant V on it.
Interesting.
Well, he's a non-powered vigilante. His fighting techniques usually has to do with a .45 and a pump-action shotgun. But he's not the only vigilante character apparently being added this season. Rick Gonzalez, who had a recent appearance in the first season of Mr. Robot, he's been cast as another DC vigilante called Wild Dog. Wild Dog will be a new vigilante in Star City who is reckless, and his nature prompts Green Arrow to take him under his wing. Wild Dog almost looks like a third-generation G.I. Joe, frankly. I'm dead serious about that. Okay, imagine a black undershirt, like a long undershirt, right? Over top of that is a blue sports jersey that has a gigantic red dog on it, yellow trim, and then he's wearing camouflage pants. He runs around with submachine guns, he kicks through windows, and on his head he's wearing like a Jason Voorhees-style hockey mask.
It almost looks like, Jason Voorhees, mixed with Bazooka for some reason.
It's close. It definitely looks like somebody who's a big hockey aficionado ran into Stalker's quarters, stole half his gear, and decided to start doing crap with it. In different news, Legends of Tomorrow seems to have added Citizen Steel to the lineup.
Who?
Minority Report actor Nick Zano will be known as Dr. Nate Haywood. He's the grandson of Henry Haywood, the original Citizen Steel from DC Comics. That was the guy we were guessing before when they mentioned the description of the character they were looking to add. Citizen Steel is one of the names we floated. So it turns out we may have guessed correctly. Citizen Steel had steel hard skin, and he was more or less a soldier. So he's going to be a cast regular alongside a new version of Vixen. As a matter of fact, the actress hired for Vixen was a former Star Wars actress. Her name is Maisie Richardson Sellers, and she will. She was Corcella in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Corcella. I don't recognize that name. Anybody?
Nope.
Well, I think you guys don't. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to.
I think she was a technician for the Resistance. I don't think she played a major role. I'm almost sad I don't know who that is. Supergirl has added a major character. Supergirl has added Superman to its cast.
Oh, yeah, I heard. Yeah.
He's no longer going to be in shadow, in profile, or just a pair of boots. The full character is going to be seen on screen. He's going to be played by Teen Wolf star Tyler Hoechlin. According to executive producer Andrew Kreisberg, quote, showrunner Greg Berlanti and I have wanted to work with Tyler for ages, so this worked out perfectly because Tyler is Superman. We are so thrilled and humbled to add another amazing actor to the legacy of this iconic character. It seems like the CW may have gotten permission from the executive Warner Brothers to really throw open the gates for their TV shows, because that's not the only character that's going to show up in Supergirl. Linda Carter is coming to play the President of the United States for the TV show. She's going to be, I don't want to say a series regular, but she's going to reprise roles several times throughout episodes of Season 2. I think that's pretty kick-ass myself. It's a nice show of legacy. Now, if there is a DC show that makes me want to pull out my broken molars, that's probably Gotham. The show is infuriatingly weird. And to add to that weirdness, they have had a young actress named Claire Foley playing Pepper Isley? Or no, Ivy Pepper. That's the name they're using for the character that would become Poison Ivy in the show. She is no longer on the show.
Why not?
The 14-year-old was taken off, and they recently added a teenage actress to play the new version of Ivy Pepper. I don't know if she's getting a growth spurt ahead of Bruce Wayne or something, but she's apparently going to become Poison Ivy in the next season. It's really bizarre. But then again, I've watched the show. I don't know why I've stuck through it for 2 seasons other than I must be that bored. It's frustratingly bad. It's not even entertainingly bad. It's frustratingly bad. Speaking of which, the last part of DC Media might just fall into that category. The Krypton show on Sci-Fi, the prequel series of Superman, it sounds like it's going to be even more detached from what Superman is than I thought possible. The series is going to center around Seg-El.
Who?
You know who that is?
No.
Seg-El is described as athletic, quietly confident, and in his 20s. Seg-El is Superman's grandfather.
Huh.
Wow, they really went way back.
Yeah. Not only that, some of the other characters will be Val-El and Lita Zod. Lita has a familial tie to General Zod. She's been described as a reluctant warrior, also in her 20s. Val-El is Seg-El's grandfather, and so that's Superman's great-great-grandfather. Holy crap, get ready for a lot of pseudoscience.
I'm already done.
Yeah, I can't imagine even tuning into that. That sounds really dull. Steve, you?
No. I was thinking they might do something similar to the comics, but yeah, this seems totally uninvolved with that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you mentioned the main character thing, Seg-El, I imagine Steven Seagal for a second there.
You know what? Katie Seagal would make a better action hero than Steven Seagal. Just drag her ass out there in the same clothes she used on Married with Children. It would make a much better show. From there, we're going to move into general media news. That's where we talk about the nerdy multimedia properties that are not Marvel and DC related. And we would be remiss if we didn't start out this segment by talking about Anton Yelchin. The guy who's been Chekhov in the Star Trek reboots. He's been, even though he hasn't had big roles, he's done his roles fairly well, at least critically speaking. What you think of him is all subjective. He was 27-year-old when he died. And he died because of a mechanical failure of his Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Which had a recall for that issue.
It did have a recall. Apparently what he did was he pulled into the gateway of his house. He threw it into park so he could check his mailbox, which is at the curb, and his house, as a person that makes money, as you can imagine, is recessed onto the property. The 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee does have a notable issue where if you leave it running in park, sometimes the transmission will slip back into neutral or drive. And because his house was on an incline, when his transmission slipped, the car backed into him and pinned him between his mailbox post and the car. According to reports, now that they've had... This story's about a week old, but now that they've had a chance to look at the pathology, the full autopsy is not out, but currently they think he didn't live more than a minute past the impact.
That's still too long in that situation.
No, and believe it or not, I think he was there for at least a few hours because people apparently were calling, looking for him, but he hadn't responded to his phone, so they drove to his house to look for him, and they found him. It's almost even more tragic just knowing that he was within a month of completing like the first trilogy of these new Star Trek films. Star Trek Beyond comes out July 22nd.
From what I understand, that was also Zoe Saldana's birthday.
It was.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
The day he died was June 20. You know, it's horrible when you think about not just how young he was, but how talented he was. He was getting roles outside Star Trek, and people just generally didn't have a bad thing to say about him, either professionally or personally. You know, I do not think it's fair that he died and we had to keep a Bieber. You know, for frick's sake, I don't know what is going on with the Grim Reaper in 2016, but he is picking a lot of quality people to remove from the planet.
Yeah.
Moving forward, the first details on the latest season of Doctor Who have come through. The first 2 episodes are going to be written by the current showrunner, Stephen Moffat, and novelist Frank Cottle-Boyce, who wrote a prior episode in Season 8. The episodes feature Peaky Blinders' Stephanie Hyam and Matt Lucas reprising his role as Nardole. He was in the most recent Christmas episode. And then, let me see, after that, apparently other writers will be Sarah Dollard and Mike Bartlett. They will be the 3 writers that will work Season 10. So, if you're a big BBC fan, that's good news for you. What isn't great news for fans of English sci-fi is that we just found out that the 5th season of Orphan Black will be the last season of Orphan Black. That series has been critical dynamite, but I guess the ratings just weren't keeping up with the criticisms. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
According to the series co-creators John Fawcett and Graham Manson, quote, "We are excited to deliver an epic conclusion to the tale of Sarah and her clone sisters. The past 4 seasons have been a phenomenal adventure, and we are eternally grateful to our loyal fans who have loved the twists and thrills of our weird little show. We are thankful to our partners at Temple Street and to BBC America and Space for their support and giving us the opportunity to end on a high," unquote. The final season will come out in 2017. Now, there has been a movie remake I heard about, but I've been skeptical about.
What's
Did you
that?
guys grow up in the era like I did of Pete's Dragon?
Yes.
You know,
Heard it, never seen it.
It was an animated live-action hybrid. It was a musical Disney film back when they were producing a lot of musicals in, the 70s?
Mm-hmm.
And it had Andy Rooney and Did it have Dick Van Dyke? Yeah, I believe it did.
Yeah, I think so.
And it had some of those goofy 70s style villains. You know, villains in the 1970s were not smart people. They were all portrayed as pretty ridiculously dumb. The trailer for the new film, it came out last week, and I sat down and watched it. I was very skeptical. And somewhere around halfway through this trailer, I wanted to watch the movie.
Really?
Yeah. You want to see what I saw?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. I sent the video.
Disney.
So there, yep, Disney Castle logo.
Here, at the eastern pad.
So this isn't starting as a throwback. This is starting with a modern Ranger, it looks like.
Yeah.
Hey. Wait. Do you know where your parents are?
That would have to be Pete.
Your family?
I guess he was on a picnic or a camping trip. He wandered off and got himself lost.
And instead of being an unloved foster child, he's just a wildling.
Things his own way. Sounds like a boy after your own heart.
How long has he been out there?
6 years.
Nobody can survive.
Robert
that
Redford.
force for 6 years.
Huh.
At least not alone.
You'll see. I have Elliot.
Very different feel from the original, wouldn't you say? It started out very whimsically.
You
Yeah.
have to get back to him. He gets scared.
Carl Urban, man.
Is Elliot
Damn.
a person?
No.
Yeah, somebody spent some money on this movie.
What's a dragon?
Now take a look at the design of the beast itself.
That's a dragon.
That's Elliot.
You don't have to run anymore, Pete.
It's fuzzy.
Stay with us.
This thing is dangerous.
I don't want to leave you, but they'll come looking for you.
And it's chameleon-like.
You have no idea what this thing is capable of.
Let's go hunting.
It's a bit of a cat-like dragon, wouldn't you say?
You're very
Yeah.
brave. Did you know that? You might be the bravest boy I've ever met.
Actually, it looks like this is what Sony was aiming for with The Last Guardian. Nice cinematography.
Attention all units. We're eastbound on Millhaven Road in pursuit of a dragon. It's a dragon. You can't say dragon over the radio.
I don't know. Just watch this kind of make me feel like this generation's E.T.
Or Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of surprised me that they seem to have injected a lot of heart into their remake. But that seems like the kind of adventure movie I could take my kids to. I'm sure that's what they were aiming for, but I was really now I'm really curious to see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did his job well. Disney has decided to open its wallets for the poor people of Orlando. They've pledged $1 million to the Orlando Victim Support Fund. Disney does have a big presence in Orlando, with Walt Disney World theme parks being a nearby, or basically neighboring the town. According to Bob Sapek, who is the chairman of Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, quote, "We are heartbroken by this tragedy and hope our commitment will help those in the community affected by this senseless act. With 74,000 cast members who call Orlando home, we mourn the loss of the victims and offer our condolences to their families, friends, and loved ones," unquote. You know, I my only issue with stuff like that is I just want to be sure that those funds are well used. You know, a lot of charities, they tend to drain a lot of the funds that are donated because of the operating costs involved. I just hope that's well used, because what happened out in Orlando wasn't just a shooting, man. That was a unique massacre, and it's still hard for me to wrap my head around most times.
Yeah.
I want to know if Dwayne Johnson ever takes a day off. And I don't mean from the gym, because obviously he never leaves the gym. He might be. I'm convinced that they just allow him to do his roles for movies in his gym clothes, and they just CG regular clothes on top of him. You know what I mean? He has been cast in another movie. In addition to all the other stuff he's working on, he just agreed to be the lead character in a movie called Son of Shaolin. The reason why I put this project in here is Son of Shaolin is based on a yet-to-be-published graphic novel.
Huh?
According to Deadline, Dwayne Johnson's production company acquired the rights to a project where a contemporary kung fu story intertwines with Shaolin mythology with a lot of the current issues faced by teens growing up in a gentrifying neighborhood like Harlem. This almost sounds like a remake of The Last Dragon.
Huh.
Also buried in the piece was a paragraph that was uncovered by IO9 and Jermaine Lucer. It says, quote, "There are persistent rumors Universal wants him howling at the moon when it gets around to the Wolfman movie that is part of its classic Monsters franchise reveal plans." They want him to be a freaking werewolf on top of all this.
That's going to be a scary werewolf.
That'll be the first werewolf that doesn't bite people. It just starts swinging barbells at them. You know, holy crap. He's already like 8 feet freaking tall. Other comic books are starting to move forward when it comes to live-action films. Supposedly, J. Michael Straczynski's Rising Stars are getting revived as a live-action film. J. Michael Straczynski, he recently co-wrote the Netflix series Sense8. He's going to be writing the screenplay for Rising Stars. Atlas Entertainment's Alex Gartner and Richard Suckle are going to be producers. The comic book launched way back in 1999, but has basically been a critical darling since then. It's a story about a group of people who were born with superpowers and connected by a single event. It almost sounds like Stormwatch. No, Stormwatch, they all got their powers because of the single event. I may have to read this at some point. I've never sat down to read Rising Stars. One of the Mark Miller-verse comic books, Jupiter's Legacy, has gotten a screenwriter. Mark and Brian Gunn have been hired to adapt Mark Miller's and Frank Quietly's Jupiter Legacy for a live-action film, according to Deadline. The movie rights were bought in April of 2015 by Lorenzo di Bonaventura. Mark and Brian Gunn, they've worked on Journey 2, The Mysterious Island, and Journey 3, From Earth to the Moon. They also worked on a short-lived TV series called Together, and they are the cousin and brother of James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know anything about the Journey films. I don't even know much about Jupiter's Legacy. There's no description of the comic book in here. I'm aware of the name. I'm not aware of the story. At least it wasn't that stupid Jupiter Ascendant that the Wachowski brothers did. That I'm sure of. Ooh, you guys been watching Lucifer?
I have not.
I have.
It's a fascinating show. It's I'm not going to say it's a terrible show, but if it wasn't for the lead actor who plays Lucifer Morningstar, it wouldn't be a fun show to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy is definitely the glue holding together this show. And they just cast his mother for season 2.
Yeah.
You remember how the end of season 1, he discovers that his mother has escaped hell, and he is just afraid.
Yeah.
Right? Well, he ought to be afraid because his mother's a Cylon. Trisha Helfer has been cast to play his mother in season 2. The character's Trisha Helfer. She was the blonde Cylon in the Battlestar Galactica remake.
Oh, okay.
She's going to be playing the character of Charlotte. She's free after thousands of years, and she's a little pissed about that. I'm not going to say that's perfect casting, but that's definitely geek cred right there. And I know Steve is a fan of this game. Jesse, are you a fan of Titanfall at all?
I've seen it played.
What was that squeaking sound, dude? It sounds like a mouse just crawled out of your throat. Nothing. Okay, all of a sudden it crawled back down and choked him. I don't know what the frick just happened there. Titanfall had a trailer come out at E3, and the big announcement was that Titanfall 2 has a campaign mode.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Have you seen the trailer for campaign?
I have.
No.
The trailer is insane, man. It looks like dystopian robot action there. And just because I'm a fan, I sent the video. It contained content inappropriate for children. Okay, that's a planet that's had a bad day.
Mm-hmm. That's a broken planet.
Yep. Nice environments they set up here. Your Titan is ready. That's a Titan drop, man.
BT-727.
That's how they send them down like a bat out of hell.
Your data recorder says your original pilot was killed in action.
Correct. My original pilot was KIA.
It looks like the mech is as much of a character as the new pilot.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're looking forward to.
Who authorized this?
It looks like it's going to be grand in scale, man.
We had no other options.
One way in, no way out. Monsters, too, this time.
What are your protocols?
New ground punch.
Protocol 1. Link to pilot. Protocol 2.
Anybody else having, like, RoboCop flashbacks? Oh, it knows Kung Fu now, too. This is wicked.
Oh, yeah, this is crazy.
Gotcha!
Protect the pilot.
That is insane. Looks like walking grenade clusters.
And the Capoeira.
Yeah. It has a sword now, too. Or at least a knife.
Yeah, it looks like he...
Oh, no, it's a machete.
There.
It's a machete sword. Dude, doing this from the first person? That's gonna be crazy.
Well,
trust me.
Trust you. No!
Yeah.
Dude, I'm trying to get the game, but no matter how much money I throw at the screen, it's not giving it to me. I don't know what's going on.
It's called
that.
All right. The fact that the AI on the Titan is its own character, there's potential for a lot of story right there.
That's only half the potential, though, because there were 2 trailers released at E3 for this game. Because, remember, Titanfall made its bones as a massive multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And the multiplayer trailer? Holy Jesus. I thought the first game was fast. They took the training wheels off for this one. I sent that video, too. More content inappropriate for children. Robot sex.
Wow,
okay,
man, you went to the gutter real quick.
Yeah, if you played this game, if you played the first game, you know that view really well. Look at this. I'm here, and I'm in. This is wicked, man.
Yeah.
Watch this. Hooked over, grab me. Now I'm gonna kick your ass. Oh, God damn it.
Wow.
Oh.
Shotgun action. Look at this running, man. These are the humans. That's the robot. This is a fast-paced game. It was probably the first one that had a serious parkour element in addition to its combat. And teleporting now.
With assassination.
Yep, full-blown assassinations. And gravity guns.
bomb?
Look at that, a Kamehameha blaster. And punch. No, that was a force push or an iron fist or whatever the frick you want to call it. Batman grappling guns. This is... and a hover shot. If you want to play this game, you need to grow another set of eyes in the back of your skull.
Yeah.
Because things will come from you. Things will come at you in all directions here.
I love this one. Slides under, grabs him, get in there.
Dude, I am not very good at fast-paced games, but this first-person, man.
Ending too.
And I'm gone.
Ejects. The other guy ejects.
Gotcha. And you're dead. I'm not usually good at...
Whoever cut that together did a damn good job.
Oh, yeah, it's an effective trailer, because I still want this, man, and I'm not good at fast-paced games, but the way they tooled the, and balanced the characters in there, you can pick it up really fast. It's amazing how quickly you can get up to speed. That almost sounds like a joke, but it wasn't, I promise. Last up in general media news, a Visual K band is releasing their first full album in 10 years. Visual K, those are the bands with bizarre visual costumes when they're playing on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Psycho Les Simu is adding their first album in a very long time. Not only that, they're going to perform at Japan Expo this July. They're getting ready to release a new album called Now and Then, The World. So far it's been revealed that it's even a limited release. It's going to be limited just 5,000 copies and will have a 12-track CD. Each CD will come with a special eraser picked at random of 5 kinds resembling members of the band. It's going to cost... The CD itself is going to cost about... conversion rate of yen, about $35. I mean, it seems like more and more genres, you're not getting general releases of products anymore. You're getting just a whole bunch of limited releases, so you got to be out there and get it, or be prepared to pay a premium on eBay later. It's happening in more and more stuff. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think that's just the way it is progressing.
Well, it means companies can turn a tidy profit without overproducing, which is good, I guess. It means they don't have to use as many resources. It also means that you, as a collector, you need to have money on hand in your favorite genre these days. I think it's a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. Let me put it that way. All right, now we'll move into Marvel comic news. That's where we talk about the Marvel properties that will end up in the comic book pages. And IO9 and James Whitbrook had an interesting interview with the new writer for A-Force, Kelly Thompson. She's been the one writing the most recent arc that has to do with another character showing up and a couple of trials and tribulations they're dealing with from the Secret Wars. First off, I'm only going to read a little bit of her interview because it's a little bit long, but they did ask her what it's like to follow up the first arc of A-Force from the creator of the series, G. Willow Wilson, the lady who created Miss Marvel. And they asked her what it's been like transitioning from a co-writer to the sole writer of the series. Thompson said, quote, "Yes, G. Willow Wilson was the co-writer of both the miniseries and the first arc of the new series. And so I've been working from her plot since issue 2 of our new book. I think co-writing is, of course, a great way to get your feet wet and to learn a lot. I'm still relatively new at Marvel, so it's super helpful to transition in that way. And at the same time, it obviously feels nice to stand on your own. So long as people like what you're doing, I guess. Wilson is admittedly some big shoes to fill, and I definitely feel that," unquote. I gotta agree with that, man. Wilson's stock is, at least as far as Marvel Comics goes, is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's definitely one of the hottest creators they have right now. And they also asked her, the latest issues had a delightful cameo of Dazzler Thor from the Secret Wars. Is it a challenge to build on the legacy of Secret Wars miniseries? And, like Dazzler Thor, can we expect to see more Secret Wars-based characters appear in A-Force in the future? Thompson said, quote, "Yeah, it is a bit of a razor's edge to balance on, but I like to think that, in a way, we've got the best of both worlds. We try to keep things fresh and new and reader-friendly as much as possible, but also use the advantage we have in being able to pull from some of the more awesome aspects of Battle World and the Secret Wars crossover, which is how you get delightful things like a Dazzler Thor. I mean, Dazzler Thor is always an advantage, right?" Unquote. And last up, they decided to ask her that about the core group of A-Force and how interesting the heroes are. and trying to find a balance in all these heavy hitters in Marvel Comics and use them in a team book. And does she have a particular character or character relationship she enjoys writing the most? She said, quote, "I love these ladies so much it's just absurd, and in my opinion, other than the great art, it's the crackling chemistry that they really have that makes the book sing and stand out from the crowded shelves. I do hate picking favorites, but I have to admit that She-Hulk is probably the most fun to write. However, I'm able to cut loose a bit more with Nico and Dazzler story-wise, since they're not currently in any other comic books. So they're rife with great character development opportunities. I've written Captain Marvel before, and Captain Marvel and the Carol Corps miniseries, so it's awesome to get my hands on Prime Earth Carol. I've dubbed her Boss of Space, and that seems to be catching on with her fans, which is basically all I do this for. So, mission accomplished. Singularity is, as you said, the boundless optimist, and she's also got the fish out of water thing going for her, which is always fun. Starting out, I wasn't sure that Medusa would be a good fit because she's such an unabashed, delightful grouch that she's becoming my favorite character to write. And it's actually in Medusa that the chemistry starts to make sense, because all of these women have been leaders and are strong personalities. But it's sort of like how you're one person with your friends and someone else with your family without even realizing it. These women can be one way in different books and still be a little different in our book. For example, Medusa is a literal queen and leader of her people. She is serious business. But in our book, with She-Hulk and Captain Marvel both naturally also falling into leadership roles, she's allowed the luxury of falling into this bitchy, sarcastic backseat driver that becomes insanely fun. Yeah, if A-Force was a family, Jen and Carol would be the moms, Medusa would be the sulky teenager, Nico and Dazzler would be the troublesome preteen twins, and Singularity, the adorable baby that everyone loves and rallies around, unquote. Oh, actually, there is one more paragraph I should read here. They asked her if there's any other character she'd like to add in A-Force. She said, quote, "Man, I would love to get my hands on Monica Rambeau. Love her, and I'd love to get her on A-Force. We're actually getting Monica's former Next Wave teammate, the foul-mouthed Elsa Bloodstone, on the team for our Civil War II crossover arc, and I'm super excited about that. I would also love to see America Chavez, Miss America, show up in A-Force, and Black Widow would be an excellent too in a contrasting voice. Rogue, Silk, Storm, Armor, Wolverine, the current one, and Valkyrie would round out the rest of my short list. I think so many ladies, so little time." Unquote. A-Force is still coming out monthly. Marvel has also pledged support for the Orlando victims. They've tweeted a version of Mark Bagley's covers for Avengers Assemble number one with a rainbow background along with a hashtag Orlando United. I don't see anything about a monetary donation, but they're showing some sort of moral support. I don't know if they'd make a monetary donation simply because their parent company Disney did already. You know, that may all come out of the same pocket, you know what I mean? And some idiot thinks he's a man when he's on a Harley. Marvel has confirmed what the problem is in Civil War II number 3. They've confirmed that Bruce Banner, the original Hulk, is going to be the rampaging monster that needs to be stopped. Still no insight as how Banner, who is currently gamma-less, will suddenly retain enough radiation to transform and maraud again. But there's currently a theory on Newsarama that says that as a result of Civil War number 3, they think Tony Stark is going to die. Tony Stark is going to die. They think that based on current solicits and the fact that there seem to be a couple of Iron Man replacement characters or new ones running around soon. There's a new War Machine that's already been confirmed by Marvel Comics, Riri Williams. She is an MIT graduate who cobbled together her own Iron Man armor out of parts from the school and parts she found around, lying around after battlefields. And then it also appears because of covers of upcoming issues of Invincible Iron Man that Mary Jane Watson is getting her hands on her own armor, but not Iron Man armor. She's wearing the Iron Spider armor. The Scarlet Spider armor. So there's a lot of curiosities as to what's coming up. However, remember we talked before about some unknown Civil War tie-ins called The Accused and The Fallen? Two unknown tie-ins, and they both have classified covers. We don't know what exactly they're going to cover. But those copies have been linked to other issues. Specifically, The Fallen has been linked to Invincible Iron Man number 7, which hit shelves on March 2nd. And The Accused has ordering incentives linked to it with May 18th, Spider-Man number 4. Miles Morales. That's a curiosity. Marvel declined to comment on any actual connections. Still no hard details known about The Fallen or The Accused. Jesse has a feather in his cap. And if he was unmuted, he'd get to find out what it was.
What?
You have a feather in your cap, sir. The Spider-Man story, Dead No More, that name has been removed. That name has been removed.
Uh-huh.
The formal story title that's going to be sold in solicits, it's called The Clone Conspiracy.
Ha!
And it turns out the man in the red suit with the Anubis mask is the new version of the Jackal.
Yes.
Still a lot of questions as to why he's resurrecting people. You know, I mean, obviously all the work he's done prior has had something to do with Peter Parker and Spider-Man's lives. And all the characters that he's supposedly been resurrecting have usually, or at least up till now, have had to do with the villains. He appears to be getting them under his sway to launch some kind of attack. Details will probably come out soon, although I think this story is going to start somewhere around the summer. It's going to occur in Amazing Spider-Man 19 through 23, as well as Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1. And it's going to be co-written by Dan Slott and Chris O'Gage. And the reason why I personally have to read this, the art's all going to be done by Jim Chung for those 5 issues.
Jim Chung?
Yeah, one of my favorite artists. You met him with me, I believe. Yeah, you met him with me at Kamikaze. Remember we stopped by, his wife got into long conversations with us about podcasting. We bought bought a couple prints off his table. We've met him.
Yeah.
Oh God, we actually have someone we can run into at Comic-Con and ask questions about that particular story. Uncanny Avengers number 10 came out. That is the storyline where Hank Pym has returned as Ultron Hybrid, I guess would be the right words for it. But the big takeaway I got from the issue wasn't necessarily the return of Hank Pym. The storyline reunites him and the Wasp, Janet Van Dyne. And she is actually wearing a new outfit in that story that wasn't talked about in any solicits I could find. You want to see what she dressed up as?
Okay. All right.
It appears to be a black and gold outfit, although the black highlights are more brownish. It still has gold armor, it's a full bodysuit similar to her most popular costume, but it also features a small skirt. It's a little more casual than her prior look.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a nice updating, actually.
Yeah, and not like tight pants, but like pants.
Yeah. It's one of those outfits that was definitely made for both form and function, it seems like. Because I realize that she's a little more durable when she's small, but when she's that small, she really should have some kind of protection. And I haven't read the issue yet, but I read a synopsis, and it turns out that that's not Hank Pym.
It's not?
No, it's Ultron. In a Hank Pym disguise.
Oh. What happened to Hank Pym?
Yeah. Apparently not much of him left in that hybrid.
Oh, so Ultron just took over. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if his plan was to be Hank Pym and just be an Avenger and live his life, considering they, both share the same brain prints, but it is what it is. Deadpool and the Mercs for Money is going to feature the return of a Marvel character who probably owes his existence to Fox at this point. As of an upcoming issue on July 20th, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is returning to Marvel Comics. I want to know which version of the character they're going to have, because the movie version is... Yeah, it's very different from the one that was created by Joss Whedon, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, apparently, according to the commentary, they did get permission to change her powers and everything.
Oh, I'm sure they did. But at the same time, it's still a wide difference from an explosive blast field compared to the fact that she was a precog before.
Right.
So, it's going to be curious. And Marvel has actually shown the images, or the first images, of the new hero Mosaic. We've seen the teasers prior that seemed almost Jessica Jones-esque, if you recall. Turns out, Wasn't her at all. It's a brand new Inhuman. Here's the imagery. Take a look for yourself. It's a curious design.
Yeah.
Still no words as to what his exact powers are. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We do know what his powers are. He's a disembodied entity. He's a former professional basketball player who undergoes pterogenesis and turns into a disembodied entity who inhabits the bodies of others.
Mosaic. Gotcha.
Yeah, the character was written by Jeffrey Thorne. He said, quote, "I grew up on Marvel Comics. They're a large part of the reason I became a writer. To be asked to create a new character for Marvel, and for that character to be this character and for him to be realized in this way, my inner 12-year-old hasn't stopped screaming and dancing. And not to put too fine a point on it, he's black. I'm getting to add another black character to the Marvel Universe that gave us Black Panther, Cage, Falcon, Blade, Miles Morales, and Storm. Also, they're paying me."
That's the big point right there.
People always ask for more diversity and strong characters of color, so that is what we aim to deliver. But that aspect is just the outer layer. The more important thing is creating an interesting person that people will want to know more about month to month, unquote.
Yes.
At least he understands writing.
Mm-hmm.
According to the creator, Mosaic's powers allow him to access the memories, abilities, and even personality of the bodies he inhabits. He also has other powers that will be revealed as the series continues.
So how is this different from Possession?
It turns out Morris says that Mosaic isn't a hero, or he doesn't see himself as one. He's not out to make the world a better place for anyone but himself. Not at first. Nor is he a villain. He's not a malevolent person. He's just extremely self-obsessed.
Okay.
Hey, man, at least he's got a full character there. Now, the weird part about Mosaic, though, is that he's involved in another set of promos that appear to do with whatever Marvel Comics is going to be doing post Civil War II. 4 promo images have been released that connect a major Marvel character to a minor one, but in this weird shattered image kind of format. It's kind of hard to describe. Think of it as, you know how playing cards are when it comes to the suits, right? There's two the same character, just kind of one on top of each other and inverted, right?
Yeah.
They've done the same thing with 4 pairs of characters so far, all of which include both major and minor characters. The first one is Mosaic himself on the bottom half of an image with Steve Rogers' Captain America. There's the image so you can take a look. I don't quite know what this is supposed to mean. Does this mean that minor characters are going to have to push the majors out? Or is something else happening that I'm just missing here? And you also notice in the first couple images that word divided, which really does seem like it has something to do with the Civil War, or at least the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly, here's the second image. It has to do with Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, but her opposite is Slapstick. The character from the 80s with, like, Saturday morning cartoons type of powers.
Wow, it's been a while.
Hasn't it? I mean, he's recently been in Deadpool as one of his mercenaries, but still. The third image, Black Panther is the major character. His minor character that he's been paired or shattered with is the Prowler. The Spider-Man quasi-hero with the pneumatic air cannons. And the last one is the one that's the most curious of all. Not only did they expand the words in the promo to divided we, right? So obviously it has to do with divided we fall, the old tropes. But the character, the thing is, it's Miss America is the minor character, the one that's not well known. She has been paired up with a major character, except it's a major character holding Iron Man's mask. It's Doctor Doom. Now, Doctor Doom, we haven't seen him since he co-starred in the first arc of Invincible Iron Man, issues 1 through 6.
Right.
But during that time, he seemed to be a more pragmatic Doctor Doom. He wasn't in the he had already tried ruling everything, didn't really work out for him, and now he appears to be just trying to be himself, for lack of a better term. I don't know where any of this is going to lead. I will say, as far as teasers go, I would like to know a lot more about what the frick this is about. Last up in Marvel comic news, they've decided to bring back one of their characters in the weirdest possible format. And they did it in issue 8 of Drax. Drax the Destroyer has his own ongoing series, for those that don't know. And the returning character, I had to look it up because I wasn't aware of this myself. I sent the image of the cover of issue 8. There's 3 characters on it looking for Drax. Can you guess which one is the returning one?
The guy with the white hair?
That is him. Do you know who any of these people are, though?
The guy with the white hair reminds me of Flash Gordon, but I don't think that's right. But no, I don't know any of these characters.
The guy down front is Pip the Troll. He was created by Jim Starlin as part of Adam Warlock's crew. Each of them had a different Infinity Gem to keep them on hand but separated.
Right.
The young lady with the pistol is Cammy. We actually saw her in Annihilation.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
She has grown up, she is upset, and she's looking for Drax. The other guy back there, his name is Terry. The reason why you may not recognize him is because the last time he was seen in comics, he looked like this.
Oh.
Wow. What?
He was part of a youth movement that Marvel Comics had going on in the 80s in the series Planet Terry, or Planet Terry. The entire storyline was this kid was an orphan running around the universe looking for his parents, whom he lost at some point. He would always fly around to different planets asking if anybody had seen his parents. And the series was as goofy as you would think it is. There was no real villains, no real malice. This was a comic that was very much meant for kids. One of his last major run-ins was with the X-Babies, of all things. And now, not just is he back, but he's kind of annoyed that nobody remembers him. Drax actually wondered who the hell he was and why he was barking so loud, and he said, "Wait, are you serious? You're joking, right? I'm planetary. As in child cast out into space all alone, spent years searching for my parents, bouncing around from one wacky adventure to the next. I'm sort of an intergalactic legend. No? Nothing? Come on. I'm a total heartthrob teen idol."
You're an old man now.
No, he actually is, like, in his early 20s at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It is so bizarre to stare at him. Like, the differences between the original and what he is.
Yeah. So
Holy
the question
crap.
is, did he ever find his parents?
I'm guessing not if he's still planetary. At least that's what I'm going to go with at this point. Now we have DC comic news. We talk about the other major company and their projects that are landing on the comic book pages. DC has also pledged its support to the Orlando victims. They released an art image of a classic Superman with a rainbow chevron behind it. I don't see anything here about monetary donations, but again, DC is also a company that's owned by a larger company, so that may have been handled by Warner Brothers proper. DC is also doing a free comic book giveaway for Harley Quinn. They have plans to offer a reprint of Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad April Fool's Special #1 as a free giveaway to promote the Suicide Squad release for the film. According to Diamond, the reprint will be titled Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad Special Edition #1. The reprint is going to be given away through direct market retailers starting July 27th. I might check it out. The special edition will be available starting July 27th, just ahead of the Suicide Squad's August 5th release. Wonder Woman is getting a new logo for her 75th birthday. Seems like every year, the last 3 years, DC has had a major milestone come through with its Trinity. Take a look here. Here is the logo that they've made for Wonder Woman 75th. It's her silhouette and the words Wonder Woman, number 75, and they've added her logo in there.
Okay.
It's a good design. Definitely gets the point across. There's no word as to whether or not they're going to insert this as a part of the prints of their comics, although I imagine it's kind of hard to avoid at this point. Another week of DC's current Rebirth universe has passed. That means there's another week of what has changed in the DC universe post-Rebirth. It turns out the reason why Lex Luthor is wearing that new battle armor with a Superman S on it is because the Superman he fought with died, and he figures he's the right person to take up that mantle, obviously. But that's not the only reason. He's doing it because he wants to be Metropolis' Superman to make his sister proud of him.
He has a sister?
His sister Lena. She's been in some of the recent comic books. She hasn't liked him as a person, and she's currently in a coma. So he's actually attempting in his own way to be a superhero. That's actually not the reason I would have pictured that he would have put on that armor. I would have thought it'd been something more self-serving or a swerve or something. Another change in DC Comics. For the first time in her life, at least as far as I know, Wonder Woman can't find Themyscira. She can't find Paradise Island at all. It's missing. She actually tried her magic lasso on herself to figure out what she is because there's so many gaps in her personal history. And when she tried to answer her internal questions about what she is, she said, "You are many to many, peacemaker and warfighter, supplicant, aspirant, penitent, the true friend and the boon companion, the trusted soul and the truth speaker, and you have been deceived." I wonder what that's about.
How could she know she's been deceived?
Maybe the lasso of truth allows her to see through whatever Dr. Manhattan's done.
I guess.
It's all I've got, man. It's just a guess. But the thing is, Wonder Woman wants some interesting help to find Themyscira. She is looking for Barbara Ann Minerva. Nothing?
Huh? No.
Barbara Ann Minerva is the name of the cheetah.
Oh.
Okay. She was also from that island, was she not?
No, Barbara Ann Minerva was a human who put herself underneath a mystic ritual to gain the strength and speed of the cheetah.
Oh, right. Okay.
She's looking she's looking towards one of her worst enemies to help her find her home. And Gotham City is being invaded by an army of bat wannabes. They're called the Colony. And apparently they have technology that's more advanced than Batman himself. According to the radar in the Batmobile, he was alone, but when he looked out the window, he was being followed by two things that look like the Batmobile on steroids. Oh, and other people in Barry Allen's hometown are being struck by lightning and gaining access to the Speed Force. Not the greatest of things to happen right now, I'd say. Let me see. The Rebirth series, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, is supposed to bring back more classic DCU elements to the current DC universe. The Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps will be a team book again, along with Guy Gardner, Jon Stewart, and a new role for Kyle Rayner. The series is supposed to start July 13th with Evan Van Sciver doing a one-shot of Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps Rebirth #1. I don't know what else to say about that. I haven't been reading Green Lantern with much regularity lately. According to Robert Venditti, quote, "Our hope with Rebirth is to have a new jumping on point for audiences, new status quos, while also embracing the very long storied histories of these characters. That's very much what we're doing with Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps," unquote. Okay. That's all I got. And the new writer for Batman is apparently going to give Bruce Wayne what he deserves.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, and that's even scarier when I remind myself that the writer of Batman right now is Tom King. If you recall, Tom King is the guy that's been scaring the shit out of us with the Vision.
Right.
And apparently Batman has to question his place in Gotham, because obviously he's been on this crusade for quite a while to, I don't know about end crime, but at least limit it, and you could say it's not going well. Ever since he started, he's been at it, and it seems like crimes get worse, not better. Not only that, there's a new superhero in Gotham that might be able to do the job better than he can. There's a new guy in a gray and blue suit who simply calls himself Gotham with Kryptonian-level powers. He's not even alone. He's being followed around by a blonde girl in a similar outfit he calls Gotham Girl. Weird, right?
Yeah, something tells me he's not going to let it go that easy.
Probably not, but it still is kind of a curiosity about what do you do when you've got somebody that's stronger, faster, and possibly better equipped than you to handle the issues that you've been trying to handle all this time. It's not a question that the Batman's really had to face before.
He's going to be a horrible backseat driver, if nothing else.
Next up is general comic and convention news. We'll talk about the comic books that are not Marvel and DC related, as well as news about conventions all across the world. And we sit here as we record 24 days from San Diego Comic-Con. Not only do we sit here, our badges have arrived in the mail.
Nice.
So we are all set to go. It's a little scary having these things in hand 3 weeks ahead of the convention. Because I know personally I'm going to have to hide these in a place where I won't forget them. Which means I'm probably going to hide them for myself in a bag somewhere. It's almost a bummer that they've done it this way because registration is usually so interesting at Comic-Con events and it's so quick. It's not usually a bother to attend them. You know, Steve's seen that at WonderCon. All of us have seen it at Comic-Con. It's usually not that big of a deal. But, you know what? James Gunn finally said something right on Twitter. He finally confirmed that he will be at San Diego Comic-Con in an official capacity. But he didn't just say it by himself. He decided to say it with Chris Pratt. They put out a video on Twitter where they announced that they will be, where James Gunn announces, quote, "We, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, are coming to San Diego Comic-Con this year. We're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Chris Pratt is going to be there. A bunch of the gang is going to be there. And we're going to show you guys something pretty cool," unquote. That's when Chris Pratt actually horns in and says, quote, "James's movie, haha, yeah, see you at Comic-Con," unquote. Holy crap.
You're surprised why they made a real-life Rocket Raccoon?
The surprise would be if they shoved Bradley Cooper into an outfit and made him go out on stage.
I don't see that being above him.
Technically, he'd be above it. He's a little too tall. Funko is actually moving to Salus Pavilion ticket distribution for their exclusives this year. Although that's the implication. Unfortunately, they haven't announced directly what they're doing. Somebody asked them if they'll be using Salus Pavilion to hand out tickets, and the response by Funko via tweet was just, "Aye. Are you an ensign on Star Trek? What the hell does that mean?" If you tell me you're a red shirt, I don't know. That might be good news for me. So somebody else asked, "That mean you might be doing organized ticket distribution at your San Diego Comic-Con booth, like up in Salus?" And the response was, again, one word, "Yes!" Holy crap, guys. A few details would be really helpful, you know what I mean?
It seems like he's got a couple secrets that he wants to keep and he doesn't quite trust himself.
Well, that's not he. That's Funko as a company making these responses.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, we're 3 weeks ahead of Comic-Con. Details would be nice. However, there was some good news by the city of San Diego when it comes to Comic-Con. The mayor of the city, Kevin Faulconer, has announced a partnership with Cox Communications to have free Wi-Fi hotspots downtown during San Diego Comic-Con.
That's awesome.
The hotspots will be free all around the downtown San Diego area from July 8th to 24th. According to Mr. Faulconer himself, quote, "We are here to announce 3 things that people love. Baseball, comics, and free and fast internet are coming together in a big way this July. The city of San Diego is teaming up with Cox Communications to offer free Wi-Fi downtown during the 2016 All-Star Game and Comic-Con International," unquote. There's going to be more than 100 hotspots to use. All you need to do is open up your browser and look for a Wi-Fi connection that's listed as Cox Wi-Fi free. That's pretty nifty, actually. It's a big investment, too.
Mm-hmm.
Kotobukiya has revealed a few of the exclusives they're going to have at their booth, and I'm not interested in the Bishojo this year. It is a Lady Deadpool variant. I usually find the character funny, but what they've done is they've done a version where the mask is pulled halfway up and she has that cancerous face with the tumors and everything. The variant comes in what's in the character's hands, though, in addition to her face. In one hand, taco. Just a taco for the eating. In the other hand, they actually knit a small Comic-Con carrying bag as if she's wandering around the convention floor.
Nice.
You want to see?
Sure.
Sure.
I took a good look at the close-ups, and those are definitely stitched bags. They're not plastic. That must have been another pain in the ass in the same vein of the 4-inch couches. It's a nifty little figurine, doesn't quite hit a sweet spot for me. However, it will be emblazoned with that San Diego exclusive logo, so that means if you don't buy it at the convention, expect to pay about $150 for it.
Mm.
Oh, I just noticed it even has a badge around its neck.
Yep.
God, they put a lot of work into that. But in addition to that, they're also going to have an exclusive Artifacts figure of Bruce Wayne. Not Batman, Bruce Wayne in a tuxedo. The one and it actually has a variant hand where it holds a rose in his hand. I imagine that's for the ritual he does every year in Crime Alley.
Mm.
And the one variant I'm actually considering is the other Artifact statue. They did a depowered Superman from the Truth storyline that we read a while ago.
Yeah, with the hands bandaged up. Or wrapped.
Not bandaged, they're wrapped in his cape to add some protection to his knuckles. I dig that more than I thought I would. I guess that story actually made an impact on me because I like this character. You guys are big fans of 80s cartoons, right?
Which ones?
Yeah.
I don't think I had to ask which ones. I think it should be a yes or no question.
There are some that I like more than others.
Okay. Well, Comic-Con is going to host a reunion of the voice actors from the Mask cartoon.
Oh, wow.
Doug Stone, who was the voices of Matt Tracker, Bruce Otto, and more characters. Brendan McCain, voice actor of Miles Mayhem, Alex Sector, and Floyd Malloy, and more. Sharon Noble, who did Gloria Baker, Vanessa Warfield, and the Mask Computer. Mark Holleran, who did Sly Rax, Buddy Hawks, Cliff Dagger, and more. They'll all be headed to Comic-Con on Saturday, July 23rd to celebrate the series' 31st anniversary. There's going to be a panel as well as autographs at the Zoomies Club booth, Zoomies Club 408 booth on the floor. There will be exclusive San Diego 8x10 print photos for each cast member available for purchase with signatures, and fans will be able to purchase custom voicemail greetings and bring their own mask items to be signed. For people who can't make it to Comic-Con, there's actually a Kickstarter campaign with rewards like voicemail greetings, signed photos, and more. What do you think? You gonna look that up?
I barely remember anything from the show other than the Rhino.
Oh, it's a goofy damn show, but still, it was fun in its day.
Yeah.
Sky
Scooter, though.
Yeah, I think everybody hated that scooter. Funko has announced a bunch of exclusives they have this year. As you can imagine, they're Pops, Dorbs, and Rock Candy figures. Some of the notable takeaways is a gold Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's, a 6-inch Gorilla Grodd Funko. Let's see, Malcolm Merlin from the Arrow TV show. 3 variants of Hair Bear from the Hair Bear Bunch as Funko Pops.
Wow, I've heard that in a while.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Oh, that's so adorably murderous. 2 different versions of Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War and Funko Pop versions. A cursed Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean. Dude, the saddest Funko here has got to be the Doug from Up with a cone.
Oh.
I will send you guys the image of that just because it's freaking heartbreaking. Let's see. Actually, it just sent you the link to the exclusives. You can look it up for yourself, but the Doug just breaks your heart. Let's see. There's a Rock Candy 52 Harley Quinn. Violet Beauregard in blueberry form from Willy Wonka as a Funko Pop. They actually have Funko Pop of the 3 ghosts and the Hatbox Ghost from Disney's Haunted Mansion. And they glow in the dark. Oh, and they have a Funko Pop of Doctor Strange this year. A glow-in-the-dark Duck Dodgers Funko.
Duck Dodgers?
Duck Dodgers from the 24th and a half century. Yeah. The aforementioned Powerpuff Girl Funkos, a Dorbs Wreck-It Ralph Vanellope and her racer. Jeez. There's going to be a bunch. No wonder they have to hand out tickets, man. They've got like 30, 40 exclusives here. Then again, the exclusives are like only $15 a piece or so you can probably pick up a ton of them and make some good money off eBay with a small investment. Lot to chew through, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hasbro announced more of the exclusives they're offering for Comic-Con. They're offering a Micronauts set. It is a reprint of the actual Micronauts figures that came out way back when. The set's going to retail for $50. including the Pharoid. I don't know what that is. There's also a Visionaries exclusive from Hasbro this year. It is a Mighty Mug of Leoric, the leader of the heroes from the Visionary series. Complete with a holographic lion in his chest plate. That's actually going to be $25. They announced another Transformers exclusive. This is the one that requires those huge bags Hasbro hands out every year. It's going to be $180. It is a San Diego exclusive Comic-Con version of the Titan class Titans Return Fortress Maximus. What makes this different is not just a commemorative box. It actually comes with a supersized sword for the figure.
Ah.
That got your attention?
Not really. Not a big fan of the Fortress Maximus.
I like the original Fortress Maximus. It does occur to me in looking at this figure, or this particular one, that the figure, with the exception of the headmaster aspect, it's pretty much an unfolder. It's one of those things where you just kind of move the limbs around and bam, transformed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I've never been a big fan of those. I always like things that challenge me. This does not look like it would fit the bill. And Comic-Con t-shirts are now up for pre-order. You can pre-order them now and just pick them up instead of fighting the rush to get them. I got to admit, there's one I would actually consider buying this year. You want to see what they're offering?
Shoot.
There you go. You can see 5 different versions of Comic-Con t-shirts, each of them with a very different print on them. Personally, I like the third one, the one that looks like a varsity t-shirt. That would be the one I'd be most likely to buy. But yeah, you can pre-order them now and just pick them up from the appropriate booth at the Marriott Marquis in Marina. It does save the trouble.
Yeah.
It's also been announced that Lego's Batman voice will co-host Sci-Fi's 3-day live Comic-Con coverage. Will Arnett himself is going to do it. According to Deadline, he's also going to conduct interviews with stars promoting their movies, TV shows, and etc. at the con. Supposedly, Arnett will even invite fans to the network's outdoor stage to discuss and engage in the con's breaking news, insider party coverage, and exclusive content. The coverage is going to be July 21st through 23rd. I might have to look for that. Anime Expo is also going to have a big panel that I have personal interest in. Production IG is going to present the Fooly Cooly 2 panel with the creator and Haruko's voice actress this year on Sunday, July 3rd at 5:15 p.m.
That sounds interesting.
The actual original voice actress for Haruko, Mayumi Shitani, is going to be at the panel, as well as series creator Kazuya Tsuramaki. Both of them will also be doing autograph sessions through the weekend. That schedule has not been announced as of yet. You guys remember when I was following a Kickstarter about a new graphic novel positing what would happen if black people were the only ones to gain superpowers?
Mm-hmm.
That book is actually being released. The series is called Black. It was created by Kwanzaa Osayefo, Tim Smith III, Jamal Igle, and Carrie Randolph. The series is actually supposed to come out this year. There was a few images that were released on IO9 for people to chew through and take a look on if they're interested. I would like to read this story. It's a very different take on the superhero genre. Although, as you can tell, it's probably going to be charged with a lot of current events. And Mark Miller and John Romita Jr., they've announced that they're reviving the Kick-Ass series. The series originally ended with Volume 3. It was a bunch of limited releases, if you recall. Basically, 3 different miniseries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is this new series returning as an ongoing series, Kick-Ass is being played by another character. The original character, Dave Luzinski, he apparently has moved on from the mantle of Kick-Ass. A new character, a black woman, is picking up the the green scuba suit he left behind. This was also announced at the same time that Hit Girl is also getting an ongoing series, not a mini-series, not a special edition, and it's another ongoing series for the Millerverse. That's something Mark Miller has never done before. You guys, I can't speak for you. Me personally, another Kick-Ass series sounds awesome to me.
It's definitely an interesting world. It'll be interesting to see if she starts out as inept as he was.
That's a good question, actually. Not only that, this would be the first time in this particular universe that there's been a legacy superhero. You know, most of the characters in Miller's stories, they're one and done. They're the only ones of that mantle. Now somebody else has picked up the title of Kick-Ass. Miller said, quote, "Kick-Ass is like James Bond or Doctor Who, where with every new face in a new situation, it suddenly feels very exciting. Every 4 volumes or so, I want a different person in the mask. Sometimes it might even only last a single volume or even a single issue," unquote. So there may be a revolving door of Kick-Ass characters.
There's going to be a lot of death, isn't there?
You read the first volume. It's kind of a guarantee. The New York Times has also revealed today a new independent comic about a character called Chalice. It's going to be a transgender superhero. It's coming out via Aftershock Comics. Chalice is the star of a new series, or a new series called Alters by Paul Jenkins, Layla Lays, and Tamra Bonvian. The covers are going to be done by Black Panther artist Brian Stelfreeze. Alters is set in a world where humanity is confronted with the emergence of a mutant section of the population dubbed alterations that develop superpowers. Chalice will develop a superpower while undergoing transition from male to female and discovers that she is an alter with the power to manipulate gravity, leading to a double life. She's not out as either a transgender or a superpower being, and can only present as a female when in her superhero costume and fighting crime. Sounds contemporarily complicated. I admit to a curiosity. That series comes out in September. And last up in general comic news, IDW has released a series of images of the new character designs for the new Mask comic book series.
Oh.
And boy, have they changed some stuff around. The masks are no longer huge and cumbersome. They actually look like things human beings can wear. You know, no bigger than like a motorcycle helmet, it looks like. Take a look at these. Here's the Venom Squad. Miles Mayhem, Sly Rax, and Vanessa Warfield. Miles Mayhem, it looks like they didn't make him as stocky as they did in the cartoon. He's kind of pudgy in this one. What is with him in the riding boots, though?
I don't know.
I do like the new design of his helmet. Although it looks like his handlebar mustache was like part of the design elements of his helmet.
Yeah.
Looks like Sly Rax is now an Asian man, but his costume realistically doesn't look like it's changed all that much. I wonder if Vanessa Warfield is going to start this series with her own machine. Man, in the cartoons, women had it kind of rough in the Mask cartoons, wouldn't you agree?
That was kind of a thing in the 80s, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, both this character and the character on the hero side, they didn't have their own vehicles for quite a while in those series. And they also have designs of some of the members of Mask. Matt Tracker, Gloria Baker, Brad Turner, and Julio Lopez. The first big takeaway is that Matt Tracker is now an African-American male. That's got to be a different type of story when you're not just a millionaire self-funding a military-industrial complex, but you're also a black male trying to do it. I gotta admit, though, the update to the design of his helmet, much better.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't look like a Baston anymore.
No, he doesn't look like a sad dog anymore. Gloria Baker, I can't tell if they changed her ethnicity based on this one image, but it does look reminiscent of her original look. Brad Turner, boy, did they scale him down. That thing he wore on his head in the original series looked uncomfortable. It also looked like it had a unibrow, but that was a whole different problem. Julio Lopez I don't recognize. I think he came out during like the second and third iterations of this cartoon. Does he look familiar to you, Steve?
No.
Maybe I'm just that old. And last up is our WTF Corner. It's those things that occur across the internet that just make you ask, what in the blue fart happened here? And we always start our WTF stories with video game videos. Incredible plays, epic falls, and stuff that makes you really regret buying Overwatch. Coincidentally, we're starting with Overwatch this time. Coincidentally, we're starting with 2 Overwatch videos this week. And the first one kind of highlights why people don't like it sometimes when they see Mei on the other side of the field, the character with the cryo gun.
Someone hated me last night.
Yeah, the first video comes from user Osama El Kahim. Or first word O-S-A-M-A, second word E-L-H-A-K-I-M. He titled his video, Overwatch's May is the Devil Incarnate. Doesn't pull his punches, does he?
It's a familiar moniker.
Well, I sent the video. So there's May in her victory pose. Play the game. Check this out.
Okay.
Just resurrected.
Got res.
Drops the machine
shit.
and has 3 of them trapped in her ultimate, and she guns them down with impunity. Oh,
No,
4
four.
actually.
4.
And then she starts pissing off Reinhardt. That was brutal glory, is what that was. I've played against May. I've never had it that bad, though, I admit. The second video is also an Overwatch video. This came from the channel of user Thomas, just known as Thomas. Maybe he's like Prince of Overwatch. But the title of his video is, I'm sorry, what time was it again?
Okay, I already know what this is going to be about.
Okay, tell me.
Oh, it's got to be something to do with McCree.
But what about McCree? Actually, it has less to do with McCree than it does another character, but I sent the video. It's another play of the game of the Black Widow, or the Widowmaker. Check this out. On high, good position.
Yeah, there's McCree.
Now it's
Done.
not. It's not yours either. Shut up.
Oh shoot, they have a third one.
Yep, gunned down all 3 McCrees.
Oh crap, there was 4 of them on the team.
There was 4 of them, and she gunned down 3 in the course of about 8 seconds. And people wonder why Widowmaker was nerfed. Next video is a Dark Souls 3 video. Dark Souls 3 comes up with some interesting stuff that we've seen. Usually it has to do with people running away screaming and they just don't run fast enough. I think you'll agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
This one actually has to do with the opposite. This video came from the channel of user Guck11, Guc11. He titled his video Dragon Bro Gimmicks.
Huh?
I don't know, it sounds like a good time at a fraternity. But I sent the video. So there he is, and he's been invaded. See that guy down there? 2 of them actually.
Oh,
so
he's got somebody.
Run.
Yeah, he's got a helpful spirit with him. And you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I'm firing an arrow to the butt of that dragon.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, no.
Hey, wake up. Wake up. Another arrow. God damn it. Another spirit's helping him out. God, that's not working. Come on, wake up. That right in your ass. See that dragon just said, what the frick is happening back there? I've got like 6 arrows in my ass. You know what? Screw all of you. Dragon fire! and he killed the invaders. Dark Spirit destroyed. And Dark Spirit destroyed. Thanks, Dragon Bro. The other guy clapping.
Yeah.
And potion. And potion. So, maybe now I'll go stab this thing. Nah, I think
maybe not.
Yeah, I'll second guess that one.
Yeah.
It's always good when you can count on a friend to help you out with the fires of hell. Speaking of fires of
6 times.
Yeah, but speaking of fires of hell, I have 2, count them, 2 Witcher 3 videos this week. First video came from the channel of user Frederick Averpil. First word Fredrik, second word Averpil. He titled this video, oh dear. He kind of buried the lead in the title there. I sent the video. So there he is, the main character. You see those deer running around?
Yep.
And magic.
Oh.
And something's wrong with that one deer.
Wow. How's it doing that?
I'm not sure, but you notice it's still alive. It looks like it's about 20 feet long now, and that neck is stretched the entire length of it. He appears to be just trying to find some food.
It's nailed to the ground, and then
Armstrong
it's just like,
deers.
Yeah. There. Okay, we'll just move that out of my way here. And you see that other deer just running in place, man. This is effed up. Okay, that head is not... The head's still moving, but he can't seem to blast it out of there.
Deer.
Yeah. And he just hit the back end of that stretched deer, and it went further. And it's still going further. And further still. Okay, you know what?
Something's going on break.
Yeah, you know what? It's official here. This is the movie Fox needs to make, starring Mr. Deer-tastic here. The thing is still alive, too. It now has to be about, what, 130 feet long, about there?
Too long.
Oh, that long neck.
You know what? You need to make some boots out of that, because they will stretch and be supple, and you'll never run out of material. All right, and I have, as I promised, I have one more Witcher 3 video for you. This came from the channel of user Ben Wingrove. B-E-N, second word, W-I-N-G-R-O-V-E. If that's his real name, the guy should be, like, running through rooftops at night, you know, with a cape around his neck. That's an awesome name, frankly. But his Witcher 3 video, he titled it, Animal Hunters Are Amazingly Bad. Maybe these are the guys you need to hunt that deer. Either way, I sent the video. So there he is just standing there, and a hunter is following around a damn rabbit. And he can't seem to catch the stupid thing. And there's a second hunter firing arrows, and he also can't shoot this thing.
The thing that makes this even worse is the rabbit is glowing like the sun.
I know. And the hunter with a bow just shot his buddy. And he still can't hit this stupid rabbit, even though it's not... Okay, and he killed him.
He killed him.
The archer killed the other hunter.
And then he gets the hair.
No, it's still alive, actually. It was still moving.
Yeah.
These guys were awful at their jobs. Just awful. Probably couldn't even kill that stretched out deer he left behind. And last up is an Assassin's Creed Syndicate video. It's been a little while since we've had one from them. This came from the channel user Brandon Powell, and he titled his video, Looks That Can Kill.
Oh boy.
I watched this just because Assassin's Creed videos are usually either really funny or they're really weird. Can you believe this is one that's both? I sent the video. So here we are on the map screen. Figures out where he's going, so he unpauses. Look, cop! And he recognizes you. Oh my god, and killed you with my death stare. The cop just fell like somebody cut strings, man. And I liked how the guy was just left standing there. I love how the character was just left standing there like, I didn't do this one, I swear. This wasn't me, man. It was so nonsensical the way he
still getting blamed for this, aren't I?
I know. As soon as the cop went red and just recognized this as a villain, blew the whistle and said, "I've got you now." Suddenly, dead. And the character didn't even move. It was either an awesome assassination or the lack of bathing just killed him by the smell. Further on in the WTF, we have to call back to a story we read probably, I want to say about 8-9 months ago. Do you remember the story of Daniel Zeitz?
Got to elaborate a little more than that.
I asked if you remember, yes or no.
No.
Okay, Steve, do you remember Daniel Zeitz?
No.
Daniel Zeitz was a professional gamer who was selling his PS4 on Craigslist for $280. And he agreed to meet a couple people in the parking lot of his apartment building. He brought out the PlayStation, showed it to them, made sure it was legit. Then the driver of the car grabbed the box and tried to yank it into his car and drive away with it.
Yeah, okay.
That did not work, so the passenger, the driver's girlfriend, pulled a 22 caliber gun, or a 25 caliber gun, fired a shot that went through the driver's hand into Daniel Zeitz's chest. He died that night. Well, the reason this happened in September in 2014. Okay, it's been much longer than 8 months. The reason why I bring this up is because the lady who shot Daniel Zeitz was just sentenced to 40 years in prison.
Good.
Kayla Dixon was her name. What makes this even more bizarre was not only was she in the car with her boyfriend, they had a 16-month-old baby in the backseat when they did this too. The night that she shot Zeitz, her boyfriend, Nathaniel Vivian, went to a local hospital claiming that he was the victim of a crime, trying to explain away the gunshot wound in his hand. Later, Vivian admitted to authorities while he was at the hospital what he and his girlfriend had done. That's what caused the arrests. They had numerous text messages between the parties trying to arrange a sale, so it was pretty clear what happened by the time police put together a few details. Zeitz would have been 30 years old just next month. Zeitz's life also inspired a short documentary called Level Up. It was part of the 2014 Fusion Document Challenge. It was a filmmaking competition where creators make 4 to 7 minute documentaries with a 5-day limit. And the documentary actually placed in the top 20 and ranked first place internationally. I didn't bring this up to bum you guys out. I just wanted to follow up and let you know that there was a resolution to the whole thing. But don't worry, I brought the happy to balance out the sad. There was somebody who was at Disney World. 2 people. And they had T-shirts commemorating a friend of theirs that died in the thing we've been talking about all show, the Orlando nightclub shooting at the Pulse. Mm-hmm. The one where 50 LGBT people died, 50 more were injured. They were both wearing T-shirts commemorating their friend who died while they were at Disney World. And the waitress talked with them for a few minutes and asked them questions about the shirts, and they did admit that they recently lost a friend and they were at the park trying to lift their spirits. This story came out on the 20th of June, which was only about a week after the shooting. Mm-hmm. So when they asked for the check after they were done with their meal. The waitress brought them the check, and their meals totaled $38.34 for Disneyland or Disney parks. It's about average fare for 2 people. But the thing that makes it special is that in the tip line, where you're supposed to leave a tip for the waiter, she actually drew a 0 with a line through it, turned into a Mickey head, with a note next to it that said, "Don't leave one. Pay it forward. Do something nice for yourselves. So sorry for your loss, Orlando Strong."
Wow, nice.
You know what? People who work for tips often need it. So this kind of kindness, that's big. And it's a nice thing to do for people who are obviously going to be hurt for a very long time. I give them credit for even going out at that point, because I would try so hard to keep my memories disassociated from that event. I probably would try not to do much for a while. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's a man in Australia who's going to jail for Tinder.
Okay.
Well, it's not like he was going to jail for technically using the Tinder app. He's going to jail for mocking a Tinder user on Facebook. There's a young lady who was Olivia. She was 23 years old. She put her profile on Tinder, and she called herself the type of girl that will suck you dry and then eat some lunch with you. Sexually forward, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely knows what she wants. And let's see. The man in question, his name is Brent Campbell. No, I'm sorry. His name is Zane Alchin. He's 25. And apparently, after he saw this share on Facebook of her Tinder profile, Alchin left a series of comments on his friend's Facebook profile where the post was. He said one of his comments was, quote, "It's people like you who make it clear women should never have been given rights," unquote.
Whoa.
Oh, believe it or not, that was one of the more classy things he wrote. He followed that up with, quote, "You know the best thing about a feminist? They don't get any action, so when you rape them, it feels 100 times tighter," unquote.
Whoa.
Then he got into an argument with a few other Facebook users in the same post, and one of the responses he wrote was, quote, "I'd rape you if you were better looking," unquote.
All right, someone needs to put a bullet in this guy's head and just remove him from the gene pool.
Wait, quote, "It's people like you who make it clear women should never have been given rights," unquote. He also referenced women in the 1950s when they, quote, "knew their role and shut their damn mouth," unquote. So, the woman with the Tinder profile, Olivia Melville, reportedly asked Hall to remove the post, but he refused. So it prompted her to share the post on her own Facebook page, to when people started kind of going after, Alchin for slut-shaming, among other things. Slut-shaming is the least of the things he brought up there, frankly.
Yeah.
And to some of the new posts, he responded with, quote, "What law am I breaking? I'm not the one out of the fucking kitchen," unquote.
Yes.
Does this guy have a club or something? Was he beating up brontosauruses? Did I miss a meeting here? And it turns out he was breaking a law. Section 474.17 of the Commonwealth Criminal Code Act carries a maximum sentence of 3 years in prison. The code was written so that you can't harass people online.
Nice.
And he was prosecuted via that statute, and he is now up for he had to plead guilty and charged with using a carrier service to menace, harass, or cause offense after he wrote this series of tweets. Or, I'm sorry, this series of posts. And he deserves it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He went out of his way to be an unbelievable dick.
Can we get this law in the United States?
Screw the United States, man. It needs to be in every country, everywhere. This needs to be international.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to bring you a different level of stupid. This is not the same kind of malevolent stupid that Mr. Alchin brought here. This is the kind that could actually harm people. And it's actually kind of frightening. There were some pranksters and went to a Walmart in Phoenix, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the time of year it is, right? It's summertime. There's all kinds of holidays upcoming, including a few that involve explosive elements.
Uh-huh.
Somebody thought it would be funny to go into the Walmart in Phoenix, Arizona, to the fireworks displays and light one of them.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. The suspects were caught on video by the store surveillance cameras. Walmart was evacuated before anyone was hurt, and local responders did contain the fire and explosives before they spread to the rest of the store. The two people who did this face up to 20 years of prison because the crime could be classified as a Class 2 felony, which in Arizona is just below a murder charge.
It's borderline arson.
Well, it's not arson, but it is technically several cases of attempted assault because you're setting off an explosive device in the middle of a store.
Not to mention the destruction of property.
That's the least of it, frankly.
Yeah, I was labeling off some things off the top of my head, so...
Well, fortunately, this being the internet, that means somebody had a cell phone, and you know what that means?
Pictures.
It got recorded.
Yeah, there's no pictures, dude. There's a video. And I just sent that video. Everyday Life TV, huh?
This isn't my everyday.
I wouldn't want it to be. Wow. You can see a few flowers spilling into the aisles. This must be that generic, 20-pack of fireworks you can get.
But they They just lit the display on fire. That's just... Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so they're just going to loop this video probably a couple more times.
Yeah.
You can see how fully committed that is, too.
Yeah, that's a lot of sulfur in the air right now.
Yeah. And not just the sulfur. I mean, it's the idea of the cascading effect that can cause. And I wonder if that shelf across the way is more fireworks.
Yeah, because it kind of looks like it.
It looks like larger fireworks. And next to that looks like lighter fluid. This could have been horrible. This could have been truly horrible, man.
Just with all those fireworks going off and everything, it's damage to the store regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I personally hope they throw the full frickin' book at this because I don't want people thinking this is a fun idea. And that's not just me talking as a consumer. That's me talking as a damn father. I don't want to be worried that I'm going to walk through a store and somebody's going to think, watch this. So,
I have very little tolerance because, I work at a gas station. I have to yell at people to stop smoking by the pumps. This is stupid.
You know what? If they send them to prison, make Zack Snyder write the story of what they do in prison.
He'll still get it wrong.
Well, they wouldn't be very deep characters in that format, but they'll be pretty deep characters in another format by the time he's done with that story. Jizz trumpet. So, there is a man in Japan who is facing some interesting charges.
Okay.
He's a 51-year-old Osaka man who stabbed his 81-year-old father after an argument broke out while they were in the kitchen. The 51-year-old is arrested and charged with murder, but denying the crime itself. He apparently killed his father, his father of 81 years, by taking a pair of chopsticks and jabbing them up under his chin.
Wow. That takes a little effort to do.
According to the quotes that the police had, the murderer stated his intentions were not to commit murder, and he was simply annoyed at his father's speech and conduct. I'm sorry, he didn't force him into his chin. He forced those chopsticks into his dad's throat.
Oh.
Those two shared a residence with 7 other individuals. Wow.
What the hell was the father saying that upset him that badly?
He was talking about the British exit vote? I don't frickin' know, man.
I don't think it really matters. There should be
Not
nothing
at that point.
you can say.
I will say it's going to be hard for this guy to eat in prison because they're not going to give him another pair of chopsticks. Want to move on to something a little happier?
Yeah.
Please.
Colin Furs.
Huh?
Seriously, you guys you guys just not pay attention when we do this show? We've talked about Colin Furs twice in the last 4 weeks. Colin Furs is the guy who came up with the thermite cannon.
Oh,
he's the guy
okay.
who lit the he's the guy who lit the death ball of fireworks.
Yeah, Death Star.
Okay.
You know, he is also the he's also that he did something else recently that was just way too much fun. He was replicating his superpower. God, I forget which one now, unfortunately.
Captain America Shield?
No, we didn't watch that one on the show. We watched another one. But he does some amazing work when it comes to engineering know-how. He's created some insane stuff that actually works. You know what he wants to do? He wants to freeze stuff by pointing at it like Iceman.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to see what mad invention he's come up with this time?
Yes.
And I swear, the reason why I like Colin Furs is not just because he's an engineer. It's because he is he's that mad scientist type of engineer. He's doing stuff not because it'll better the planet, not because he wants to rule the world, just because science will allow him to do some really great stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I sent the video.
In this video, I'm going to turn into Iceman and freeze stuff by chucking liquid nitrogen from the palm of my hand!
He is way too excitable. I do like the way he makes videos, though. His idea of editing is pretty good.
Now we need a cool firing system, so I've made this.
Look at this thing.
Okay.
For what it is, it's pretty small, I think. It's a very compact design. It's
Don't
not
need
even
a whole
two
lot of liquid
full-size
nitrogen
tanks.
to freeze stuff.
Depends on what your delivery system is. He's got to make it something safe. It's not like you can just, drip it on the desk.
That funnel.
3, 2, 1, Iceman!
Oh, I hope that thing's well insulated.
Right, let's freeze stuff.
Let's freeze stuff. Plants.
What's this I hear about Iceman not liking vegetation?
He sounds Welsh. He definitely entertains himself a lot. Some crunchy violets.
Damn.
That's the easy way to cut the lawn.
I know. Yep. Let's try freezing like a cup of water. That is a true test.
A cup of water? Yep, that's definitely water.
2, 1, freeze! Take it, water! Take it!
He's fun, but he's a little scary. It's not quick, but it is doing the job.
He's blowing all the water all over the place.
How cool
Not all of it. There's a pretty solid core in there.
Right,
yeah.
Next challenge. If I had a jet of water, can I cover something in ice?
Oh, we're talking another aspect of Iceman now.
Did he get a buster head?
He said it was a half-burned head he found in the trash. Although, considering where he is, it's probably his own trash. It's working, though.
Yeah.
There is a small layer of ice on that head now. Get a working prototype.
I'm properly impressed with that.
Weird cat, man.
Why doesn't this guy have his own, show on Science Channel or something?
Because he's probably the only guy that you could present to an insurance company and say, okay, I have someone who's probably about as smart as Mythbusters, but 10 times as dangerous. Can we get him insured?
Yeah.
And
wow, that was...
he's a cool engineer, man. Seriously, he should get hired by a movie company because he could make actual practical special effects, you know?
The guitar with flames shooting out of the end, that was pretty impressive.
Oh, that's a Mad Max thing.
Yep.
Last up, we have more out-of-context D&D quotes from outofcontext.tumblr.com. Or outofcontextdnd.tumblr.com. I told you this would probably become a regular part of the show because this is one of my favorite things to start reading. Should we just do like we did last week and have like the most recent 10?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. The first one is interesting because it involves two messages combined. Maybe we should build a dragon launcher. I can and I will.
Okay.
I do not expect to survive.
The second one makes me ask a ton of questions. How do we know you won't accidentally kidnap more children?
Accidentally?
More?
Wow, that sounds like some really bad lawyer talk right there.
Dude, at that point, that's when you're sitting at the D&D game and you're reaching for your cell phone and taking a picture of the guy who's kidnapping children just to make sure, you know, he doesn't end up in like a sketch art later. The next one, though, the next one had to be a DM with a hell of a sense of humor. This is Guy Fieri, and this is Dungeons, Dragons, and Dives.
Oh, God.
You think that was a bad reference, dude? Number 4 on this? 2 grandpas enter, 1 grandpa leaves. The paladin of this group really required to be slapped in the head. This is a quote from the paladin. I really can't let baby murder happen, even though I really wish I could right now.
Wow.
Okay, you are no longer a paladin.
This had to be a DM answering a question from somebody, and you can almost sense the derision and the hate coming through this. It's only 3 words. Underground means ground.
Someone's tried to manipulate their movement.
Yeah.
Yep. How about number 7? This could be the same game for all I know. You get +1 to shoes.
+1 to shoes.
+1 to shoes.
Someone's a cobbler.
This had to be a DM telling him to roll well. Or at least another player telling somebody to roll well. This is a great quote. A man's life may rest on the quality of your bullshit.
That is definitely a DM. That definitely sounds like something a DM would say.
That sounds like something any player would say when somebody's just staring at their D20 hoping a number comes up. This one sounds like a player to a DM. Told you those fish ashes would come in handy.
Fish ashes. Okay.
Yes. I really hope that means fish ashes from a campfire and not I was smoking trout. And the last one is a DM describing a bag of holding to someone. It's like a walk-in closet that destroys your soul if you go inside. That was beautiful.
That was an interesting description. Hey,
that was
Steve,
beautiful.
you remember the last bag of holding I gave you guys?
Oh, God.
The one with the dead kobold in it?
Yes.
Well, before we move on to the show, there was one from a couple of weeks ago I had to save. And I'm going to read this in the voice I think is appropriate for this. This is one I just one out of context D&D quote I had to pull for you guys because you will find this hilarious. An inquisitor, riding a grizzly bear, through a ghoul-filled common room in hell, firing pistols into the fray? Manly.
Wow.
Wow.
That's just an image that builds as it goes, isn't it?
The thing is, I'm already building this character up on paper.
It's McCree.
It's high noon.
The subject of this week is DC Rebirth. We picked a few of the early issues to read and find out what we think of DC's realignment of their universe. Reboot, I would say, is definitely the wrong word for what they're going for here.
Yeah, no, it was not a reboot.
No. We had Superman Rebirth #1, Batman Rebirth #1, Aquaman Rebirth #1, Green Lantern's Rebirth #1, and Detective Comics 934. So Rebirth is the story where Wally West has returned to the DC universe, and he brought with him the knowledge that 10 years of continuity has been stolen from DC's heroes to make them weaker, apparently by, if not Dr. Manhattan, then at least the Watchmen. That's the indications we got from the story. I didn't have them read the original Rebirth because that is 80 pages long, and we already know what that story is. I wanted to see if what happened post-Rebirth was going to be of interest to us. Did anything stick out to you guys initially?
Detective Comics?
Detective Comics 934, the story of the team Batman's building against this new technological army invading Gotham.
Green Lantern Rebirth sounds like an interesting buddy cop series, and maybe Batman.
Okay. Steve, what about you? Anything stick out to you?
I really liked Aquaman. Again, he's a character that originally I never really gave the time of day to, like everybody else, but all of these, reimaginings, it does a good job of explaining it, and I really kind of have to get behind the guy. He's become that underdog, but still impressive, far more than I ever gave him credit for.
Let's start with Aquaman Rebirth, since you've dug into it a little bit here. And I'm like you. I'm a fan of the current version of Aquaman. The post-Flashpoint Aquaman is a guy that you can empathize with. He's powerful. He has a lot going for him, even though everybody keeps treating him like the a-hole of the DC universe. Like he's done something horribly wrong somehow. And the first couple pages of him trying to deal with Atlantean terrorists was actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The gigantic, prehistoric crocodile beast and the plesiosaur a couple of the guys were writing. They cut an interesting image as well as an idea of the geopolitical structure of Atlantis as it stands right now with its own surface embassy, the Spindrift Station. That's an interesting idea I've never heard of before. And admittedly, I have not read any additional Aquaman since we read that first story arc like a couple years ago.
Right.
The only issue, I didn't have an issue with the writing. I didn't really have an issue with the art. The art wasn't quite my speed, but I thought it still kind of fit the theme they were going for here. Dan Abnett is a writer. He's one of the guys who turned the Guardians of the Galaxy from a joke into something readable, Mm-hmm. So he's always a pretty good writer. The issue I had, though, was that if everything that was being done in exposition to explain where Aquaman is at this point in time, as a previous reader of the comics, I already knew all that. It felt like it was retreading a lot of story I already was aware of.
Oh, good. I wasn't the only one.
Yeah. I don't know. I was taking it from the standpoint of, okay, well, they're not necessarily starting over again, but it...
As far as Aquaman goes, I don't think they've started anything over again. It seems like a progression of where he was. I think that the one-shot... I understand. I understand this is the jump-on point. You're trying to catch up people to where he is, who he is, and what his purpose is.
Right.
But I think all the exposition, if you did away with that, you still had a really good idea of the character overall.
I don't know. I kind of liked the twist at the end, though, when you find out that the one that was doing the exposition was Black Manta. That gave it a kind of creepy...
Yeah, no. I was struck by that twist at the end, but at the same time, it's like, are we just going to strip I hate Aquaman because he's Aquaman?
It was a little bit of a twist, but as far as I knew, as far as I go, it wasn't that big of a twist because Black Manta, since Flashpoint has occurred, has always talked about Aquaman in these lofty tones. He's always talked about him as what he aspires to be because he's always planning on how to kill the man. He wants to know everything about him, so he accepts all of his faults and all of his strengths simply because if he acknowledges them all, they're less likely to kill him.
Mm.
Well, the thing is, with the 52 version of it, I understood why Manta hated him. In this version, I don't understand the hatred.
Well, again,
I don't have enough
called
context.
him a murderer, so I think they're sticking with the
They're sticking. Well, yeah, they haven't changed Aquaman at all post Flashpoint. He still is the one who killed Black Manta's father when he was a smuggler.
Okay, I wasn't unsure if that was sticking around or we're going back to the pre-52.
They haven't changed anything other than realigning a few characters' memories. The universe on a whole is still intact. That's what Rebirth is. It's not a changing of the universe. It's just a minor realignment of the characters' powers and memories, more or less. The universe they're in is still the universe they're in. To be frank, though, I could have done with a full 22 pages if it was just Aquaman and Mera up at Sam's Sea Shack, you know?
Yes.
that was good.
The two of them eating in the restaurant, the dialogue between about how the two of them are really unsure what to do, but they still, you know, he likes coming here because it makes him feel more human and more in touch with people. She goes there not because she likes it, but because she loves him. The whole back and forth, it was almost like the best of John Hughes films all of a sudden.
What is like this? Chowder. You don't have to eat if you don't like it.
She asked him like 3 times, what is this called again?
Yeah.
She doesn't care, but because he's there, she'll sit with it. It's not a big declaration of love, but it's a good one. It's a solid one. And let alone how unusual they look still in their Atlantean gear in the middle of this seaside food restaurant. And it really is just a greasy spoon, like a stop and rob.
Yeah.
It is not an expansive place.
I did like the fact that, you know, rather than in the Flashpoint version where, you know, they're just like, oh my God, can you eat fish and everything else? He was like a regular there. I thought that made more sense.
This is the same thing, though. It's the same restaurant from Aquaman #1.
Right.
So they've just continued the story. He's not just there occasionally. He's a regular visitor now.
Right.
Besides which, we didn't really see him interact with anybody else other than the waitress at this point, so we don't know.
But the waitress was the one that was grilling.
Oh, is it the same one that's... Oh, no, it wasn't him. The person that grilled him the first time was a curious reporter who was in the booth next to him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, he had been visiting that for a while. She just knew to serve him, that's all. Again, if it was just Aquaman and Mera at Sam's Sea Shack, I could have done with a full issue of that. That would have been a great catch-up road here. The rest of it, I understand the need for it. Again, it just seems like as somebody who's read it before, it wasn't entirely necessary. I guess that's the best explanation I can give without trying to get overly wordy. Batman Rebirth #1, the first thing that struck me was that the variant version of this was the Batman that Steve had been laughing at. He called it a very busy Batman. And this was a story we had talked about a couple weeks ago where Batman is offering a new job to Duke Thomas. Not a Robin job, but something else.
Mm-hmm.
The vibe I got was that he did expect him to wear that armor to protect him, but I don't think he wants Duke Thomas to be an active combatant. I think he wants him to be like his dedicated oracle, his information specialist. You know what I mean?
Mm. Although he was training him.
He is training him because
the tree and whatnot.
Yeah, well, there is always that likelihood he'll have to fight somebody, because it's not like Thomas is staying in the Batcave just tapping on the computer. He's actually out in the field, but he's not an active combatant. I think his job is to be like the watcher on the wall. You know, somebody to make sure that he doesn't overcommit himself.
Although he doesn't really plan on listening to him, apparently.
No, you know, that's why I was kind of mixed on this, because I like the aspect that that Batman is trying to find a way to safeguard himself from risking his own life unnecessarily. However, if you're never going to heed the man's words, why do you even ask him to do it?
Yeah. And I did like the reimagining of the Calendar Man. That was far more freaky. You know, we'd already discussed it, but to actually kind of read the whole thing, I was just like, wow.
It's creepy as frick.
Yeah.
You know, to read it in the panel and him talking about trying to cause an ecological disaster just so there's an eternal spring so he's young forever. Wow, man. That's something Captain Planet will not be able to solve by himself.
Yeah.
The tone of the book was fine, and actually I accepted this more easily than I accepted Aquaman, again, because I'm not a regular reader of Batman. This helped me catch up. I do think it was a little lacking in certain respects, but it was nowhere near as exposition heavy as Aquaman. It just kind of really threw you in the deep end, as in, this is where Batman is, this is where Duke Thomas is, and this is the kind of crap they're dealing with. Do you want to read or not?
Yeah.
I'll read just to figure out what's going on with Duke Thomas. I mean, I missed a lot. Where the hell did he come from?
He's been a character. He's been one of the lead characters in We Are Robin.
Oh.
Okay.
That's where Batman learned about him from. He's been one of the not unassociated, unregistered Robins running around. But unincorporated would be the right word, I think. Although the few pages of Bruce Wayne doing one-armed chin-ups off the side of a helipad on the top of Wayne Tower, that's manly.
A level of,
that's pretty extreme. That's up there with riding on a grizzly bear, firing your guns into a ghoul-filled room. I mean, that's way up there. Yeah, it doesn't make me want to read Batman, but it makes me appreciate where he is, and it does give me a solid idea as to what his current status is.
Yeah, I have to say I was far more impressed with the Detective Comics.
Yeah, I will admit to that, but we'll get to that because I think we should get through the actual Rebirth books first. Next up is the Superman book. I wish I gave more of a crap about this.
Yeah, I honestly, I was kind of expecting to be a little more
invested.
Yeah, and I didn't.
I will be honest. I was impressed with the quick summary of the Death of Superman story arc that they did there, but that was about it.
It wasn't even really a summary of the Death of Superman. It's just them talking about how he died, or that he died. They didn't talk about how he died. And just the weird storyline of Lana Lang trying to steal his ashes so she can, or steal the ashes of the New 52 Superman so she can bury him next to his parents in Kansas. And then it goes to the current Superman, the pre-52 Superman, thinking about how he died against Doomsday. And how he came back, and how he's just convinced that this Superman is going to come back too. He's just waiting for the New 52 Superman to come back, like most people expect comic book characters to come back in general.
Yeah.
It was a little creepy. And he seemed... I think that's why I had trouble latching onto this book, was because he seemed so disinterested in the cycle of life and death in this world. Like it's just inevitable that he's going to come back. As if this Superman has all the same gear he obviously had in his world. They've got to be the same, right? And then then he finds out, no, they're not the same, you idiot. This guy lived a different life. However, I did like the moment where Superman is in the Flashpoint Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and he never realized how simple it would be that he had statues to honor both sets of parents instead of just the Kryptonian ones in the fortress. It really is just that simple for a guy as overpowered as Superman. It is almost bizarre that he never thought about it in that format before.
Yeah.
So we find out that they can't resurrect the post-Flashpoint Superman. He does get his ashes buried, and he's in a coffee can, which I assume that's a coffee can. Maybe I'm just being facetious based on the images. They're not very clear.
Mm.
And I guess he kind of takes over the Fortress of Solitude. This is probably the moment where the first Superman decides he's going to get involved in this world, and he adds the Flashpoint Superman between his parents in their memoriam in the Fortress of Solitude, which is a nice touch, admittedly. Mm-hmm. It's very deserving of a guy who died in the format he did. I guess the other reason why I had trouble latching onto this was because I was just really starting to like the post-Flashpoint Superman as a result of the Truth arc, his depowering.
Yeah.
He actually seemed like a guy who, for the first time, he seemed to me to be the first Superman that was going to understand the human element of the Earth in a proper format, and that's when DC decided to get rid of him. It feels like a waste to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was touching in certain ways, but that was... It didn't invest me in the story.
I didn't feel touched at all by that story.
Mm. It could have been more. It could have been more if they allowed the pre-Flashpoint Superman to have a less lackadaisical attitude about everything he was observing during the book.
Mm.
He almost sounded like a guy who, frankly, would have just picked up a controller and said, "Okay, let's load from last checkpoint. Maybe that'll work." I don't think I can beat that anymore. Green Lantern's Rebirth. Want to move on to that?
Sure.
The first few pages of that with this mystery guardian holding a new ring that apparently can access the entire emotional spectrum.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, he was surrounded by an armada of aliens in warships, and it was a race called the Dominators. I think they're a relatively recent villain in the Green Lantern mythos. But he opens the box and apparently wipes them all out. He didn't even put on the ring. He just opened it. Like, the presence of this thing is that much power. Considering the power that the Green Lanterns already have, that's a curiosity to me. But the next pages is Simon Baz, apparently for the third time this week, trying to clean the word terrorist off his sister's house. I actually read the first appearance of Simon Baz. He was a getaway driver in a robbery that was mistaken by the police for a terrorist because he's a Muslim man. And even though those charges in the issue, they reveal those charges have been dropped, however, the stigma has not gone away from the neighborhood, unfortunately.
Even though he, and as the agent says, yeah, you got the terrorist charges dropped, but, we didn't even charge you for the getaway driver thing.
Yeah, they let him go probably because of, the work he's done as a Green Lantern. When Hal Jordan in this universe vouches for you, it really does mean something to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that the agent came by not just to check up on him, but to help him clean his house. That was a touching moment to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was super nice. He gets the call, and he gets the call from his ring of an unknown spacecraft, a code 109. And he's not the only one that gets the call, because Jessica Cruz, the former Power Ring, who had the ring from the Earth 3 version of Hal Jordan, which apparently works to create fear in its user. I don't know how she got rid of it. Probably because she got a Green Lantern ring at some point. It was interesting to look into her head, the exposition about how much the outdoors freaks her out, and how hard she's working to try and live normally.
Yeah, I had no idea that she was actually phobic in that way.
Oh, a little background on her. When the Power Ring found her, she was a crazy survivalist. She locked herself in rooms with, emergency rations for 2 years' worth of stuff. She does not like the outdoors at all.
Huh.
And I say she's a survivalist nut because she locks herself in bunkers for large periods of time. She really has fears of the outdoors. Her interacting with her sister was interesting, but she got the same call as Simon Baz of the 109, the unknown spacecraft, and she's responding. I like how the artist on this book, who the hell was it? The art was Ethan Van Sciver and Ed Bennis. I liked how the panels with Jessica Cruz looked like she was uncomfortable flying. Like she's really trying her best to understand this new ring she's wearing.
Mm.
Even when it tells her there's an unknown spacecraft, she says, God, how does this work? Take me to this unknown spacecraft?
Yeah.
She has no clue how the ring even works. She responds at the same time as Baz, and it turns out to be a manhunter. One of the robots that the Guardians tried to use to police the universe before the Green Lanterns. And the two of them try to attack separately, neither of which goes very well. And the damn thing probably would have killed him, except it was Hal Jordan using the Manhunter as a training device.
Yeah.
That was an interesting spin on this whole thing. I kind of expected this is where they team up and this is where they figure it out. No, this is where they get their asses whooped and their boss says, okay, you suck. So he's forcing them to work together by making them summon their recharging batteries and then fusing them into one so they have to use it at the same time. Let me say this. I get this as a story device because this creates a bunch of interesting stories for the regular Green Lantern series.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I don't quite get, though, is that this is Earth. Crap happens here all the time. So is it really necessary to force them to work together? Because just by them standing on this planet is almost guaranteed they're going to risk their lives every other Tuesday.
Yeah.
It almost feels like an unnecessary gesture to force them to recharge at the same time when there's already so much going on. And then he also tells them that not only are they guarding the Earth, but they get to be the Green Lantern representatives, the both of them, on the Justice League.
And that they will be trained by the Justice League.
That's a good thing. Being trained by the Justice League is a stellar thing. But hanging around the Justice League as two rookie Green Lanterns, are you trying to get them killed?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, welcome to the big leagues.
Yeah.
They'll be training you on the job.
That's like going out to a Little League game and saying, you know what, kid? We're going to hire you for the LA Dodgers starting today.
What? Training? No. You just start at the season, do a good job.
You're a full-grown 12 years old. Here, take this bat. That guy's going to throw a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Hit it. Jeez, guys. Again, I'm not saying it's going to create bad stories. I actually think this setup is going to create some really interesting stories. But it is really just throwing your kids in the deep end after popping the floaties that they stuck on their arms. Holy crap.
Yeah, and then, again, a little bit of a twist at the end.
Oh, the final reveal that Atrocitus is getting ready to head to Earth with the Red Lanterns?
Yeah. Well, and he has been the one narrating about this whole thing, so he obviously knows about this new power ring as well.
Oh, Atrocitus is the guy who created the Red Lantern Corps, the Lanterns of Rage. And not only that, the Red Dawn he was talking about, they're going to Earth to make it the new home of the Red Lantern power battery.
Oh, God.
2 rookie Green Lanterns have to deal with the master of the Red Lanterns and his Corps.
It won't be too hard for him to...
Yeah, hey, Hal, is it too late for me to shove this ring up your ass? God damn it. And last up is Detective Comics 934. We found out about this last week, where Batman hires Batwoman to run a team of vigilantes to find out who is monitoring the vigilantes in Gotham. And this team is Red Robin Tim Drake, who's returned from the future, the Orphan Cassandra Cain, I don't know if she's ever been Batgirl in this universe, Spoiler, who was a Robin for 5 minutes in this universe, Stephanie Brown, and Clayface.
Yeah,
the former
that was
villain.
The one that threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
But I am actually kind of liking...
No, this storyline, the way it started with Azrael getting his ass kicked by somebody whose silhouette looks remarkably close to Batman, and Batman seems to have no clue who they are. That got me sold almost immediately, because it always seems like in comic books involving Batman, he knows everything before it occurs.
Right.
It's one of the most frustrating aspects of the character, because he always seems to know everything, regardless of how minute or incomprehensible it is. But then moving from Azrael getting his ass whooped to Batwoman swinging through the skies, I gotta admit, I actually liked the panels, not just the art involving her. I was glad to know she was still in this universe after how badly DC has treated the character in the past. Let alone, I really didn't know the background of Batwoman at all. I didn't know she was a soldier. That adds another layer to this. I had no clue.
Welcome to boot camp.
Pretty much. And then Batman knows exactly who she is, and she... I like that he comes slowly at her, and she just flips him over the counter in her apartment. She ain't having none of his crap and doesn't care what he's there for.
Then he does the reveal.
Yeah.
And she's just like, God, I've been waiting for this.
I know. I'm sure he thought by taking down his cowl and saying he trusted her by showing that he is Bruce Wayne to her, and she just says, well, I know that. He looks so shocked.
Yeah. My secret was found out.
Oh my God, there's someone else in Gotham who uses more than 4 brain cells at a time. What do I do? And I didn't know they were cousins. I admit that. I didn't know that at all. But I think that's why I'm kind of gravitating towards this story, because in this version of Detective Comics, Batman is not the end-all, be-all of superheroics in Gotham. There's other capable characters out there. And not just Nightwing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spoiler, Red Robin, Batwoman, they all seem to know what they're doing. And I would say that Orphan seems to know what she's doing, but if you know her history in comics, she's dangerous.
Yeah, she's terrifying.
Yeah. Trained by the League of Assassins, to be an assassin, barely speaks because she was never taught it originally. And then Batwoman is in charge of this crew unequivocally. Batman gets to pick them, she gets to train them. I like that dichotomy. Frankly, the less of Batman in Detective Comics, I think the better off the series would be. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but there's already so many Batman books out there. He doesn't need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially with Batwoman in charge. Holy crap. Even though her outfit doesn't look intimidating by design, there's something about her standing next to Batman. I find her more intimidating than I find him.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can quantify why. It's not like it's the red hair or the red in the costume, or even the fact that when she stands around, she's not she's not cloaked in her cape like Batman is. She just stands there usually with her arms crossed, looking like she's trying to figure out how fast she's going to kick your ass. Not if, just how long it might take. You know what? I especially did not expect to get to be touched in the heart by the introduction of Clayface in this series.
Yeah.
Him just watching one of his old movies, wishing he still looked like that, and trying to be that guy for a few minutes, and not even like change his shape into him, just live vicariously for a few minutes. Holy crap, that's horrible.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that he's just like, come on, man. Just let me watch the movie. It's not even that long. I won't even put up a fight. You can just take me back.
I know. They turned him into like the Frankenstein's monster of Gotham. Repentant, doesn't want to hurt anybody, but if you start swinging at him, obviously he's going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little disturbed on how much I like it. And then, what was it, Batwoman and Batman have this crew surrounded next to the bat signal. They explain what's going on. Batwoman's going to start their training, so they grapple up to the next building, and then there's poor Clayface. How am I supposed to do that?
That was the moment right there. I was just like, yeah, I could probably get into this book.
I know. The reveal at the end that whoever beat up Azrael is a member of not just a force, but an entire army. This is the Colony. They're more technologically advanced than Batman himself. I want to know who's in charge of this. If you tell me it's Jason Todd, I'm going to be superbly disappointed.
No, I actually have a theory. I think it might be Thomas Wayne, not the father, his brother. From
the brother they wrote in the middle of the New 52.
Yeah,
maybe it could also be Tommy Elliott.
Who's that?
Hush,
the guy that.
Oh, Hush.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne's former best friend, the surgeon. The one who
that wants to be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, the one who stole parts of people's faces to make himself look like Bruce Wayne. He wants to be Bruce Wayne. He just wants to take over and supplant him entirely. Even trained himself, like self-style, on how to be Batman for when he takes over. He's a very weird and disturbed dude. But the thing is, though, Detective Comics 934 makes you want to read more Detective Comics. That was unexpectedly cool. You know, this is a story I can actually get behind, I think.
Yeah, I just hope they don't, get through the story arc and then it suddenly just goes bad.
Back to Batman and his whatever he does?
Yeah.
Well, supposedly in the next issue, 935, it's revealed that Tim Drake is apparently even tired of being Red Robin. He just doesn't seem to want to be involved in this in general. But he may be sticking around because he and Stephanie Brown have a thing.
Now, which are these post 52 characters or pre 52 characters?
Why are you even asking that?
I'm just curious because
I told you it's still the Flashpoint universe. That has not changed.
Okay, I obviously missed a lot because when the hell a lot of these characters come back in?
You'll have to read Batman comics for that in the New 52. I don't know because I didn't read much other than the few spates we've read on this show and the Flashpoint story itself. DC in general doesn't appeal to me. This story, Detective Comics, appeals to me. The storyline that they're introducing in this new Green Lantern series for Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, that interests me. Batman doesn't interest me. Superman doesn't interest me. Aquaman still interests me, but I think I'd rather read it from the beginning. From Flashpoint forward. I'm not sure I'd want to jump in the middle of the story, I guess is my thing. What do you guys think?
I could pick up any of them and read it from there. They did a good enough job of using it as a jumping point. But certain stories actually kind of made me want to read it, and other ones I was just like, I don't.
No, yeah, me too.
Yeah, the Superman story I just can't get behind. I still want the other guy back. Even with his powers, I want the other guy back.
Yeah. Although you were talking about, something else last time where all of a sudden, somebody was standing next to Jimmy Olsen. I still want that explained.
What, the Flashpoint Clark Kent apparently being alive?
Yes.
I don't know what the story is with that. His powers are already, some of them have gone to Kenan Kong, the Chinese Superman.
Right.
Some of them are supposed to go to the current version of Lois Lane. She becomes the new Superwoman. So if he is alive, he's alive without his powers. Which seems unlikely because, as I remember, at the end of his own storyline, the current Superman died in a flash of energy and his body was reduced to ash.
Which is what they supposedly just buried. So that's why I'm going, okay, that was the only thing that was kind of attracting my attention to that Superman.
Well, the curiosity to me is, if he came back, why would he come back without his powers?
Again, I don't even, that's the one thing I want explained. But
I want a lot of things explained, frankly, but I don't have time and I don't have the patience, because the only period of this Superman that I'm even interested in reading is from Truth forward. His depowering to the point he died, and then after that, I don't care about the previous Superman coming back, because he's a character I've always complained as being overpowered, unrelatable, and just generally dull. Adding him into the Rebirth doesn't interest me. You guys can disagree all you want. That's just the way I feel about it.
No, I have never been a huge fan of Superman either.
Okay. So I think we can leave it at there, because it sounds like Detective Comics we're all pretty interested in. Green Lanterns could use some tweaking, but we're into. Aquaman still into. It just sounds like we're still not into the big Trinity.
Well, and we didn't end up reading Wonder Woman, so...
That wasn't out by the time I put this together.
Right. So I can't say we're not really into the big Trinity, because we didn't do the last one, but...
The reviews on that issue, the Rebirth issue, were pretty low.
Really?
Yeah. Disturbingly so, actually. The series that came out of it supposedly is better, but the actual jump-in point is not hitting critics very well. Take that for what you will. Next week, you guys will not have anything to do with me, because I have to go to Anime Expo for both better and worse. So we got back together just in time to go out again, and that means we only have like 1 or 2 shows between now and Comic-Con. Maybe 2 if we're lucky at this point. We may be under a crunch. I'll have to decide whether we cut a show before... I know we'll do at least one. I don't know if we'll do one the week before Comic-Con, because that's going to be a lot of preparation work. We're going to have to make sure all of our ducks in a row. I do have the next series to read, though. Because it occurred to me that reading New Avengers actually seemed to work out pretty well. It held up after 12 frickin' years, which is surprising. I didn't expect that at all. So it occurs to me, why not read another book that came out about the same time? Young Avengers debuted in the same year. Young Avengers was a debut of several brand new characters, a couple of whom are still enduring in different Avengers series and other series. What do you think?
Okay. Why not?
All right. We'll have issues 1 through 6. That's the first full story arc.
Okay.
So thank you for tuning in. I invite you to roll with us again. Next time it's going to be about the Young Avengers. Again, if anybody out in this show is in the Orlando area, sorry, my tongue is tied together. It's been a good 3 hours. Our thoughts are entirely with you, and whatever reasonable support we can provide, we're gonna do, because frankly, stuff like that shouldn't happen to anybody. No. Regardless of your nationality, your belief system, your voting record, none of that should occur, or none of that should be part of a reason why someone would chase you down and shoot you. That's unbelievable. And hopefully we can find a way to prevent stuff like this from happening in the future. But unfortunately, we have to rely on our Congress in this country, which is about as useful as a jizz trumpet. So, pray for us. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
And Jesse.
Don't jerk and drive. Enjoy.